The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Now broadcasting from the Right to Offend Media Studios in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, art, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report Live with Sam Whitfield.
But giving offense is good. In fact, it's essential.
Oh, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's impromptu episode of the Whitfield Report. Max, have you heard any good songs lately?
I heard Ye dropped a banger on the world that was just too hot for the I'm sorry, but man, they banned that song everywhere. Bro, there's like National Socialist black metal on every one of those music platforms. I hope they go scrub all that too.
Yeah.
And that shit's not ironic.
No.
Of course, Ye's new big hit single, tearing up the charts that don't exist because it's not on the charts because it's only on Twitter, basically. X. But he says Twitter in the song, to be fair.
Yeah.
Which is very based to keep it, like, you keep calling it Twitter. Like, you say anything else you want about Kanye, but he still calls it Twitter.
Yeah.
So do I.
Well,
relatable. What I'm saying, Sam, is his new song's very relatable.
That's the thing that you and I were talking like right before the show is like I know people who are like, for context, like I know guys who are like going through, marital troubles and like, of their own right now, and they're like getting mad at the Kanye song, and I'm like, yeah, but like, like I know everyone's getting like really caught up in the whole, like, I guess the chorus, right? Like, no one's actually like really paying attention to like what he's saying, which is that he's like sad that he can, he can't see his kid.
If he changed a couple words, they would be so cool with this song, okay? If it was Hail Satan, they'd love it. And then,
yeah.
And then, like the same everything else,
Well, like
that's why the song is named and said what it is. It's specifically like he wanted it to be censored, and it does prove his point. If you haven't listened to the song, you're an idiot for judging it, one, because if you listen to the song, he explains why the song is what it is. Just like he said when people were judging the leaked version. He said, wait till the song comes out. He said that to Piers Morgan. That's why he kind of walked off the show, because he's good at publicity. And also it was funny that he left Sneeko there to like die. That cracked me up. But I of course I watched the Piers Morgan with Kanye thing. That was great.
Yeah.
No, I get what he's doing, and look, we are right to offend media. So if I didn't get what he was doing, I would be ashamed of myself. What he's doing is 2005 edgelording, right? He's saying like, I've got nothing to lose. You all say the worst things about me already. I have no control over my life. I can't see my children. They're telling me I have to go into a mental hospital. I don't feel that there's anything wrong with me. Right? I have all this money and all this fame, and it doesn't help me at all. My wife cheated on me with a Jewish guy, and yeah, that factors in. I think that has everything to do with why he says the stuff about Jews, but at the same time, I don't think he's as serious as you might think if you just listen to what he says in the song.
No, I think he's doing, and I'm not saying that this is like one for one with what he's doing, but like oftentimes, like you'll notice that like edgy teenagers will say like a lot of like horrendous things because
You'll find a
know-
lot of teenagers have the same crossover of Satanism, Nazism, occultism, obsession with, say, murder, serial killers, true crime, school shootings. Am I on the mark? It's called being a fucking edgelord. He's being a 2025 edgelord. And I will point out also that in the black culture, the stigma around saying stuff like this is a little different.
Well, but he's a and he but what I'm getting at too
Not
is
that I'm saying black people think it's fine. It's just that I think most black people don't feel as strongly about it as a lot of white listeners might assume.
right. Yeah, and it's also, I mean, it really is. At the end of the day, it is kind of like a cry of please listen.
Most of my friends and people I've talked to already don't think he's a Nazi.
No,
He put out a song called Hail Hitler, but they don't think he's a Nazi. And it's not even a cry for help in such, Sam. He's been crying for help for years. What I think that what he's saying in this song is, I'm not crying for help anymore. I'm saying fuck off. Go away. Leave me. You call me whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know, and it's understandable. A man gets pushed to his breaking point, and no matter what he does, people got shit to say about it. Imagine 30 years of that.
Well, I mean, that's
why getting nothing but, like we talk about the gay fish thing, getting nothing but shit on ever since that came out, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, "Oh, he was cool with it when it happened." What happened? What happened is people kept calling him a gay fish for years and years and years, and he just got a little bitter about it, like, "Yo, yeah, fuck them guys, you know. I shouldn't have to deal with this shit." And so he got like, or when he said George Bush doesn't care about black people, what he was talking about was the hurricane in Louisiana. And he was saying that not enough was done. And I think we'll all agree that FEMA doesn't do a good job at the best of times. So the idea that they would fuck over the black community of Louisiana and New Orleans in particular is not surprising.
Yeah, well,
and bringing attention to something like that is not the worst thing in the world. It's just the way he said it out of nowhere shocked people. But what he was saying wasn't a bad thing.
Right. Well, what's interesting about that?
I guess it is for George W. Bush.
Right. Well, and
it was true. George W. Bush didn't care about those black people. I stand with Kanye on that.
Well, and what's interesting about that is I've actually
I don't stand with him on Beyonce having video of the year, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, I don't stand with him on that either. But in regards to Katrina, I've actually spoken to Heck of a Job Brownie quite a few times. Actually, he's a radio host in Denver, and he's basically made like no bones about the fact that like George Bush threw him absolutely 300 less, and so did the governor of Louisiana at the time. There were
people got a raw deal.
I'm not saying that Browning was perfect, and even he says that he's not perfect. But he said, "Look, I empathize with a lot of the black community, but like I wanted to legitimately help, and my hands were tied basically by both my boss and also the state government that didn't want to do anything."
Well,
too.
See, and we live in an age of, it's a little weird, right? It's like black men are in a tough spot because up until now, like even through the peak of wokeness to some degree, they were allowed to act masculinely, whether in a negative or positive manner. It didn't matter, right? They were exempt from a lot of the political correct policing that a lot of like young white men would get, right? But it caught up. It caught up.
Yeah.
They're not excluded
Yeah.
anymore. And what it's done is it's opened a lot of like, I'm talking about guys I know personally that aren't even political, that are like suddenly like, they don't, first of all, they feel very politically homeless. Second of all, it's the first time some of them have realized that we vote Democrat as a community, and they don't even try and earn our vote.
Right.
That's what they say. And then they get treated like, oh, you're toxic, you're too masculine and stuff. For like, especially like Sam, it's, I'm not like in the ghetto here. The guys that I know are religious black guys, right? They're trying to find a wife and get married. They work hard. And so they're already being put in a stereotype in a lot of cases by just being a black guy, dressing like a black guy. People look at them and think that they're a criminal. And it's like, they work 40 hours a week. You know what I mean? They're a good dude. They're normal middle-class fucking guy. And all they want is, a wife and kids, just like anybody else. But you're not supposed to have that dream no more.
Well, I think I've told you about.
It's tough for them. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to conclude my point back to Kanye there. It's tough for a lot of those black men who have traditionally been allowed to be masculine when you cut off all avenues of traditional masculinity from them, to just lash out and say fuck you to everything and everyone in their path.
Yeah.
That's why he's being an edgelord. I'm sorry, Sam, but go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. Well, and I think I shared this.
He did all the right things, right? Like as celebrities go, especially being a celebrity, right? He got one wife. He stayed with her. He had children. You know what I mean? He's not Diddy out here having these parties. He has no history of drug use, right? He's not a gangbanger from the hood. He never claimed to be one.
Well, and
that's why he got shit on early on in his career. Actually, they called him a nerd. He wasn't gangsta enough to be a rapper. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing, and I don't say this, I don't say this like hypocritically at all, but like Kanye, was a mama's boy in like the most wholesome way too.
And his mother passed a couple years ago.
When his mother passed, I think it broke him. And like as
it would, for a lot of people. Yeah, he was very close with her. He took care of her. He named his record Donda, is named after her. He has an institute in her name. Like, yes, he obviously was a mama's boy. And then you think about that, Sam. He had that happen. Then shortly thereafter, his wife not only cheated on him, but he was called by Pete Davidson. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
From his own bed, he got called by the guy cucking him.
I did know that, and that's one of the reasons why I've never liked Pete Davidson.
And I don't think that has anything to do with Pete Davidson being Jewish, but I do think in Kanye's mind that has a lot to do with what he has said over the past couple of years. He is Jewish. Like, there's no getting around that. That's an elephant. The guy that fucked his wife is Jewish. Why do you think he's saying anti-Semitic things?
I would agree with that. And to be fair, I've also known guys who are Jewish who will say and do horrendous things, and then when you call them out on it, they'll hide behind oh, you're being Semitic, or they'll play.
Well, we also know honest people like Craig, for example.
Yeah.
So call anti-Semitism out when it's like real, and when it's not real, like I guarantee you, if we call up Dr. Craig and say, "What's your opinion on the Kanye song?" He's gonna say, I can almost quote you exactly what he's gonna say because I can hear it in my head. Sam, you ready? What Craig will say is, "Yeah, that shit's hilarious."
Yeah, I can hear him even chuckling.
Yeah.
As he said.
Yeah, with that typical chuckle he always does when he finds something. Like, we know that's what he's gonna say.
Well, yeah, he even I played back the I did two
'Cause not
best
everybody's
of
a pussy.
I did two best of shows this weekend.
Mhm.
One of which I actually replayed on Saturday, the infamous Pussy Smoke episode, which, man, even a year later, that still cracks me up. It is still one of our best
Oh,
episodes.
yeah.
But after that whole thing, we go into the Israel-Palestine conflict, right? And Craig says outright that, like, yeah, Bibi is kind of Bibi Netanyahu is kind of retarded if he's calling people out who don't support you know, the war out as like
Well,
anti.
that's the thing is Craig's real as fuck
Right.
and honest, and he doesn't just side with any particular thing. That's why we like him.
Yeah, well,
He's a thoughtful guy, and so he's been. That's the funny part is, like, yeah, he's Jewish. He's been critical of Israel on this. But that's the other thing is that be critical of Israel. They want you to be in the pro-Palestine camp. Like, no, thanks. You can keep your Houthis and your Hamas.
yeah,
Just because I'm critical of Israel doesn't mean I want to support terrorism.
right, and that's kind of that's where we've been too, and that's
That's why we don't talk
um
much about that particular conflict on the show, because that's the like what else when you have that position, what else do we say but like we wish people would stop killing each other over there? That would be great. Like, what else
yeah,
do you say? That Trump seems to be working towards that end. Seems to have taken a little turn against Bibi specifically this past week, which just goes to
yeah,
prove Craig right. Craig's been very critical of Bibi being, in his words, he said ultra nationalistic, and it's a bad look. I believe
well,
that's a quote.
yeah, Craig and I have both also been like, well, I mean, my opinion doesn't count as much on this as Craig's does, but like Craig's also been very critical of Ben Shapiro, basically
Yeah.
saying like look, dude, like,
Ben Shapiro doesn't get Ye's song either, but Craig would laugh. That's what I'm saying.
well, but in Craig's also one, like, look, Ben Shapiro is the one who's actually kind of encouraging like the groypers and the actual anti, because he'll react he'll react to everything and basically basically get upset and do what they want them, instead of like what Craig does, which is to laugh at them and say, "Ha ha ha, you guys are fucking retarded, man." Basically, which is what,
We say a lot of wild shit on the show, but there's one thing is like we've never supported terrorists of
yeah,
any
no,
kind. We're always quick to point out that that's retarded.
yeah. And also that, like, Nazism is gay too.
Yeah, that's why he put it in the song where he says likes to get cucked.
Yeah.
Man, when the grippers figure out he's making fun of them and using them for like the optics, they're gonna be so mad. Because they think that that's the funny part is Fuentes and Sneeko and them, they think that they got their pet retard. I'm pretty sure Ye has his own pet retards.
Oh yeah, easily. Well, it is funny that the quote unquote irony bros don't get don't get irony at all.
Well, because that's the problem with this shit is the ironic shit postery edgelord Nazi is the one exception. So every other kind of edgelord will generally walk it back when they like get through adolescence. Okay. The only one exception to that is like the ones get obsessed with school shooters because sometimes they don't make it through adolescence. But for the most part, You know what I mean? They get through adolescence, they get
Yeah.
into adulthood, they grow the fuck up. You know, the guys that are into like the Satanism, guys that are into the hardest core of metal music. I mean, I've chilled out Juggalos. I've chilled out in a lot of ways over the years. Just with the wild shit that I would say just for shock value. However,
Sure.
the one that is the problem I found is the ironic Nazi. So yeah, you got to be careful. I think he's gone as far as you can go with that bit before you start being completely on the other side of it. In fact, this actually for me walked it back a bit because I was concerned about Ye when he said he figured out that Jews weren't out to get him, and then he did that other song, and I wasn't quite clear on the message. And he did say, and the other song was called World War III, where he did say the reading 2 chapters before I go to sleep of Mein Kampf, which is a reference, by the way, Sam, to previous Ye song where he talks about reading 2 chapters of the Bible before he goes to sleep. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
It's him being an edgelord, but I was still not completely sold on it until he put out Hail Hitler. Now I know he's full ironic. However, I have literally had people that we were close with start as an ironic Nazi and become an actual lame ass, boring, annoying. That's why I'm so hard on the Nazis, is because like even if you flirt with that shit, if you do it too long, it's like when you gaze in the abyss of retardation, it makes you retarded back.
Yeah, I mean, I know. Yeah, I mean, I know some, people who kind of dabble with that and then went like full on.
Yeah, like Satanists will like grow up one day and be like, yo, what was I doing? That shit was fucking. I went way too far with that shit. Guys that make edgy murder music, shit like that. It's like you can always walk back a lot of things, but the Nazis seem to be, and what it is because it gets you canceled when you do it ironically, as if you didn't do it ironically, and then they banish you to the world where the only people you can interact with are Nazis.
Yeah, there was a guy who I went to high school with who was like a big Obama fan, and he was almost kind of like I wouldn't say like a I wouldn't say he was black nationalist, but he was kind of pushing more towards at the end. And now, like I think I told you, shout out to my friend Tiberius. He's like a total Trump guy, and he reached out to me like right before the election and was like, "Oh man, Sam, like he actually apologized to me and was like, man, I used to make fun of you for like listening to Rush Limbaugh and whatnot." Like he felt bad, and I'm like he was genuinely apologetic, and I'm like, oh, dude, it's like it's water under the bridge. Like I was never mad at you. Like I always thought you were a pretty cool guy. Like I know that you were going through stuff, but so that's kind of funny that he's gone from like a staunch Obama guy to like now he texts me like every other day with like some sort of Trump thing, and it is kind of hilarious for me, at least from that perspective, that like the staunch Obama guy is now one of our listeners who's like a staunch Trump guy. But yeah, just
it happens, man. Like
stuff like
that's
that.
what I'm saying though, is a lot of young black men, is particularly young black men.
Yeah.
When their pass for being masculine ran out, when feminism has overtook so much of society that they start getting told the same way we've been getting told, it's new for them. That's what I like. They're reacting in a way you would expect because it's the same way. Like we rebelled against feminism in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s directly, the same exact way that I see a lot of young black men rebelling against things that are new to them. Being told you can't speak to ladies certain ways. Nobody wanted to tell them that because liberals 3 or 4 years ago would have felt racist to do so. But now if it's a straight black man, it's okay for them to say that to him because they're a woman. So they trump him no matter what, right? And they don't know how to react to that because they're used to being able to tell a bitch, hey, fuck you. Now they do that. They're getting called, sexist and shit, and they don't even know what that's deer in the headlights, especially for guys my age. I find I've talked to them about this. This is a guy, they say, like, yeah, oh, you were right about feminism for all those years, bro. It's fucking annoying as shit.
Well, and like my friend Tiberius, he and I have talked at like when we were in high school, like there were some kids who came out as like gay, and it was like no big deal. For some of them, it was kind of like, yeah, we all kind of knew that you were gay. Like
Yeah, it's very millennial that what the gay guys, nobody cares.
But he and I were talking, and he's like, man, he's like, some of these transgender people, like it's not like they're coming out as trans. It's like they want you to
you have to
celebrate
be
with them
a part of it.
Yeah.
You have to actively participate in their shit. And they're like, yeah, I don't even like talking to the gay guys. A lot, like legitimately, I know a lot of black guys, they do not want to have a conversation with an openly gay man. It makes them uncomfortable.
And that's kind of how
Me too. For like at first, usually, I don't know. I've had some cool gay friends. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if I know he's gay at first, there's just a disconnect.
Yeah, no, we've all
you can bridge those gaps, but you start with it. There's an automatic, like, we're a little bit different,
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, and he and I were talking about, like, back when when we were in high school, it was kind of like, if one of our friends like came out as gay, it was like we would have the conversation, and it was like within 5 minutes, it was like, are we still cool? And it's like, yeah, we're still cool as long as you don't, hit on me or something like.
Yeah, just
like
don't
that,
act like a faggot, and we're fine.
Yeah, but like,
it's like you're gays, whatever. Just don't be a faggot. That applies to straight guys too.
Yeah, but now
now you can't even use that word to describe the behavior because somehow the word is homophobic, even though it's more about behavior. So you can't even define the behavior that is like makes men uncomfortable. That's what it is. You're not allowed to define the behavior that makes you uncomfortable. And there's a element of gay guys, and I believe that it is like a vocal minority, but it's not like a 5% minority. It's more like a 30 or 40% minority of gay people who believe it's their duty to be as gay as possible, as in your face as possible, as much as possible.
Yeah.
And if you're already uncomfortable with that, see, us white guys have had to, like, because we're the first group they want to force it on, because we're the first group that feminism beat down.
Yeah.
So we're the first ones that they confront with, hey, gay, gay, gay. Plus, we're the largest group, of demographic of men there is straight white men. So we're getting bombarded with it constantly. Black guys get a pass to say unpolitically correct things for a long time. But then it starts to be, you can't say unpolitically correct things about women or gay people. And also, here's this new thing called trans. And it's something most of them have never heard of. They've heard of a transvestite, but they have not heard of like trans until the last couple. And I'm sorry, Zoomers, it didn't exist as such until I want to say 2015. This is a new phenomenon. Y'all made it up. You're just look. You're just a guy tucking his dick wearing a wig. All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say that's accurate too. Is 2015, because like that's when I started college, and like honestly, I remember in like
I never met a fucking trans person except the one transvestite, we used to call them, or cross-dresser, if you will, in high school, or like right after high school, that I got in a fight with because he was a gay guy and he tried to hit on me. Aside from that one incident, and they would not have said they were trans, they would have said they were a dude. They just dressed like a woman. The first time I ever encountered a trans person in real life was 2022. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Maybe I saw them at clubs and stuff. I'm not going to say I never saw one. No, actually, at 2019, at Straight Pride, there was a tranny that marched in the parade with us. I did talk to the tranny. They were cool. They were fine. I've told, and actually, Sam, fun fact, a former like associate of ours that went to Straight Pride with me is now a trans woman.
Yeah.
Her name is Joe.
As in Josephine?
No, as in this. When I met him, his name was Joe, and then he told me that he was trans. I think I was the first person he told, and I called him. I said that, ha ha ha, what a faggot, and in text, right? Because yeah, I thought he was kidding. My bad. He was very serious, and it hurt his feelings really, really bad. And notice I'm not going to call him her because you marched in Straight Pride with me, bro.
Right.
Now you want to get 3 dicks in a fucking dress? Well, one of us was serious about the cause, and the other one of us was a lying liar. I'm straight. I have a wife. I have children.
There's a lot of lying liars out there these days.
Yeah, well, if you're going to lie about being straight, that seems stupid because you get way more props for being gay these days.
Yeah. Well,
Like, imagine if you're actually gay in 2025, lying about being gay and trying to be straight instead. Can you see all the upsides you would get if you were actually gay and you wanted to go to that lifestyle? Like, people would be like, oh, you're so brave. Oh, we're going to help you out. Hey, there's these charities you have access to now. All these resources. All these people want to welcome you in their community. Like, if you actually wanted to have sex with men, it seems a wise decision to be an open gay man nowadays.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but as my barber who's openly gay says, like, being gay doesn't have like the clout anymore because
It's true. You got
gay guys are just kind of seen like us, like we just like they just exist now.
Gay guys
right?
aren't oppressed enough.
So, no, actually, like, legitimately, a couple of friends of mine, gay men, similar age group, right, peers, to tell me that around the same time, 2015, 2016, they started getting pressure in the gay community that everybody was supposed to go trans. And obviously, like, the thing is these guys in particular, it's a couple. It's 2 guys that are married. I've known them for years. They don't want to either one of them go trans because they're attracted to men and they're attracted to each other.
Yeah.
Duh.
Well, and shout out to my barber, Jimmy, who, by the way, follows the RTO account on Instagram. So, but like I was talking to him and he's like I'm 66. He's like,
oh, so he's that like OG generation of gay.
Yeah.
Base.
Yeah. Well, he's
ones
like,
who actually had to fight for some shit.
Yeah. Well, and so he's like totally MAGA. So yeah, from his perspective, because he's like, he's like, I see all these young, gay and trans people like talking out, like, well, we're fighting for our rights, and he's like, and I always ask them, like, with genuine confusion, what rights are you fighting for? What rights don't you have?
66 makes him old enough that the right he would have fought for is to not be put in an insane asylum for his sexuality.
Right.
Like, that's literally so. And this what these
right are they fighting for that he didn't fight for 50 years ago?
Yeah, the right to get married, you got that. He's at 66. When he got the right to marry, he was probably in his late 40s or 50s. Am I right?
Yeah.
Think about that. So, he knows what it's like to fight for some rights, and he's asking a question, which is an honest question. I find a lot of old hippie activists, anti-war activists, a lot of leftists are asking these young people, what are you actually fighting for? And further than that, why are you using terrorism as a tactic? That's like the elephant in the room.
He said that
There are no bad tactics, only bad targets.
he told me like 6 months ago, he said, me and my other friends
But
who
that
are
book was written in the 60s. Sorry,
He's-
Sam. But he's referencing rules for radicals, and I'm saying
yeah,
they've always had that, right? The idea, but even the people that were like big on Saul Alinsky in the 60s, even Weather Underground people are questioning the Zoomer left youth, the Intifada tactics, right? Like why they're using terrorism blatantly and openly. And the reason for that, Sam, from their perspective, isn't that they do agree that there's no bad tactics, only bad targets. They're saying that your target, these are bad targets. You got to stop because you're riling up the bee's nest. And this is what I've been warning against since literally me, Asa, and Shmuley on the stream when Trump won the election in 2016 talked about this, where as the extremes get more and more extreme and also polarized and also violent, the center will eventually call to beat them all into submission because the center doesn't like terrorism.
Facts.
and that's really what's happening. Like I mentioned, my black friend who used to be a staunch Obama supporter is a full-on is
Most
now
of
a
the
full-on
center
MAGA.
will let you speak about whatever you want, right? They just don't like you burning things down and blowing things up.
Right.
And violently assaulting people and shutting down sections of the city so no cops can get in and all this other nonsense they get up to, shutting down the library at Columbia. You saw that again?
Yep.
Yeah, tracking
And it's
cops.
theatrics. It's theatrics because you ain't freeing Palestine. They love to sing, don't they? You ain't doing nothing. You're pissing off everybody who's trying to use the library on finals week 1.
Yeah.
You want to go free Palestine? I guarantee you, if you fly your dumbass over there, you head out to Gaza, they'll let you fucking pick up a gun. You want to join the fight?
Or like you mentioned, like back in
so many are queer that they'll be thrown off a building instead of getting a gun.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
they'll be sent flying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what Mort was referencing. And well, and I mean there are lots of people who, like you pointed out like 2 years ago, Max, a lot of the Palestine, college protesters were like leaving flags like on the road after
I could have taken up a collection.
Yeah,
from
because
all the college bitches dropping these mini Palestine flags on the roadway from the women's college, the lesbian college, all the way down to Providence, Rhode Island. Like there's a road that goes between the two, right? And I run down it all the time. And man, because the protest is in Rhode Island, and so they're driving back to campus. At first, I thought the protests were at the campus, but I got it flipped. They were all in Providence, so these bitches were driving from the lesbian school, and it's like famous for that, right? It's a woman's school, but it's also famous that like 80% of the broads that graduate are fucking dykes.
Well, of course, that kind of checks out.
Look, if people look into it, they'll know exactly what fucking college I'm talking about. It's kind of famous.
Yeah.
But those bitches are down at there, so they drove down to Providence, which is a good haul, but it's right down this road if you just keep going straight, right? And then they were like throwing the fucking flags on the way back. And I couldn't at first I was like, what are they going home? They don't want to get caught with it. Nah, they just didn't give a shit about Palestine. They throw the flag on the side of the road.
Well, like
they were there for the clout. They were there for the virtue.
It's all performative bullshit.
Well, like I actually went down to my alumni
How many
you
of
know
these, real quick, Sam? How many of these people you think will convert to Islam for Palestine?
not
Maybe
many.
two.
And genuine conversion too. So that means no more gay, no more face piercings. You got to get your tattoos
Zero.
gone. You got to wear a hijab. How many of these fucking leftists will do that for Palestine?
Maybe
Zilch.
Jabba the Hutt. That's it.
Zilch.
Oh, your Frogan ain't no good fucking Muslim.
Okay, maybe like one if I'm being, you know. But like a lot of the libs on my old college campus, like they didn't even fully understand what was going on. They were just saying the thing because it's trendy.
Because it was a fucking
And
thing to say.
yeah, and they pretty much admitted that too. So
Well, it's amazing how the trendy thing to say involves mass amounts of blatant anti-Semitism. Am I right?
Facts.
yeah.
And look, hey, I enjoyed Kanye's song, so I'm not opposed to some comedic anti-Semitism or some criticism of Israel or
That's
some
the thing, it was making
criticism of
funny.
the Jewish faith even, or whatever. Anything's fine. Anything's fair game. But the same people that wanted to cancel us for like dick and fart jokes have been running around screaming anti-Semitism at the top of their lungs for 2 years now.
Well, and like
Straight
Craig
facts.
and like
And
Craig
blowing
has,
stuff up.
and like Craig has pointed out, like a couple times, both on our show and on the Fake Untitled podcast, all the all like the 4chan and like Reddit jokes that like all the Groiper Nazis use. A lot of them were like written by Jewish comedians. Like
I can tell you for a fact, Don Rickles wrote like half of the jokes I've heard Nazis use in the past 10 years.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
Don Rickles alone.
No.
And then it's probably
Yeah.
it's probably what's his face is Ben Stiller's dad. Probably wrote a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like you could literally find the Jewish comedians that write all Fuentes' jokes
Yeah. Did you
50 years ago or whatever.
Did you see that like like a while back there was someone who I guess made like a deep fake of like I stand with Israel, and they had like Jerry Seinfeld and like Sarah Silverman and a couple of these other famous Jewish comedians, and Jerry Seinfeld actually came out and said like what I wasn't in this ad, like I don't want either side to be in
And that's the thing is it's basically the same position Ethan Klein has been put into, and I hate to be somebody to defend that fuck, but
Same here.
He's always had the position of he's pro-Palestine, but he's not pro-terrorism. Shocking. And he's also not pro the extermination of his own people. Shockingly. And so he takes the position of pro-Palestine, just not pro-Hamas. That's why iDubbbz and Hassan and all of Frogan and all the Denims, all these weird people are attacking him, which is just mind-blowing to me. What, like, they act like the the right-wing griftosphere or whatever is cutthroat. I've never seen anything as cutthroat as the left-wing griftosphere on like Twitch.
I would.
They want to eat Ethan Klein alive because his position is pro-peace.
Well, and like that's the other thing too.
CBS to his house because his position is pro-peace.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we played the clip of like Bill Maher, like a week or two ago. That's exactly what he was saying. This purity, this new purity spiraling that the left is doing is going to consume.
as
is going to destroy
was
the
pointed
left.
out, only bad targets. Well, they're going after all the wrong targets. They're going
Yeah.
after targets that people like. They're going after targets people don't feel strongly about. They're going after targets people do feel strongly about in the other direction. Like the trans thing is, trans sports thing in particular is like an 80-20 or a 90-10 issue.
Yeah.
It's not something that's debated in polite society, to be honest with you. The trans in sports, even a lot of trans people are like, yeah, no.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing. I was explaining this to I was trying to explain this to someone the other day, and I was like, no, nobody actually has a problem with trans people. What people have an issue with is trans activists who want to shove this in everyone else's face.
Well,
That's what people.
look, it's not that there aren't people.
And the erosion of women's rights. Go figure.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
exactly. But
that.
there are people that have a problem with trans people, and one of them are
Sure.
a lot of women when their spaces are invaded and they
Right.
don't feel safe. And that Title IX created those spaces for women for a reason. And look, call me a fucking feminist if you will, but I'm pro women's sports. I'm pro women's changing in bathrooms. They should have those secure places.
You and me both, brother.
And feel safe.
Yeah.
And that is a radical position to these people. But I'm telling you, when you frame it like that, it's a 90-10 issue. There is 10% of the population that is just so out of touch. They don't understand that they are arguing at the biggest wall of people they've ever seen.
It's
Right.
one of the few issues where I'm like, fine, you want to call me a feminist? Call me a feminist, because that's a non-starter for me.
Well, it's exactly what Ye's new song is doing. It's the same fucking thing. You want to call me this, you want to call me that. And people are sick of it. People are sick of labeling.
Yeah, that's what this whole thing that's really what this whole thing is about. So,
you know, start looking at people as individuals, and we might start making some progress. But the identity group stuff, as I feel like for a lot of normal people, it's run its course. Nobody cares. I don't know. I'm from an area where like I live side by side with everybody, man.
And I don't want to speak for you, Sam, but that's part of the reason why I'm a cripple that won't go along to get along with the rest of the fucking crippled mob.
Yeah.
right. Well,
You guys,
well,
they've attacked you guys on multiple occasions, both of you.
I'm the fucking Uncle Tom of the crippled.
And in fact,
well-
people attacking you ain't even fucking crippled, so they're not even representative of the fucking group.
Facts.
well, and like more and I have both talked about this. You know, like when we were both growing up, like our parents, at least my mom, you know, like said, you know, don't use the cripple card to get ahead because you know you're better than that. But now my mom is
be normal, kid.
Because
yeah,
of the,
but like
she was right because of Thomas Sowell. It might be when he talks about he's talking about the low income black community, but it's the same thing. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Yep.
yeah. But now my mom's kind of changed her tune on that because she's like, well, everyone else is using, you know, their card to get ahead, and you actually have a legit one, so you might as well, you know, use it.
Yeah, I mean, you get motherfuckers with like, oh, I got a service animal.
It's to the point where my mom, like yours is, Sam, is basically use it where appropriate.
Yeah, well, my mom actually, she's
I got my
actually-
emotional support, Chihuahua Sam.
she's actually snitched on a few able-bodied people who have handicap placards,
Good.
or no, who don't have handicap placards, but yet still park in the handicap.
No, I straight up started calling it in.
Yeah, no.
If you
Yeah,
call
no,
the
so has
non-emergency
she.
line, I took pictures because famously Bubba, my pops was Maxine's dad, was in a wheelchair for years, and we ran into that problem all the time. You try and get into a place, or like let's say he has to use the bathroom. We're stopping at a place, right? And there's a motherfucker in the handicap spot. It's a pain in the ass, you know?
She in
Or
in
work out the handicap fucking stall.
And the
what-
reason it's a handicap spot, if you guys watching don't know, there's a point to it, is that there's extra space on either side of it. One, so that you can get in and out with a wheelchair. Two,
yes.
it's close to the door, so you can get into the store. It may not necessarily be close to the door, but it's always going to be close to the handicapped access ramp or
Right.
whatever handicapped accessible entrance is there. That's
Yeah.
why it's there. It's for handicapped people to get into the fucking building and out of their car and then back into their car. Dummies. Stop parking in it because you need fucking to buy lottery tickets.
And she doesn't use it unless I'm with her. Either.
That's the thing.
Nor do
Either
mine.
my mother-in-law used to never, if he wasn't in the car with her, she would never fucking do it. Now she's got one because she got her knee replaced, so she's got her own placard.
Okay, well that's fair at least if she has her own.
Yeah, but she didn't for years until she got her knee. Like she only got her knee replaced a couple years ago. For before that, she would absolutely refuse if he wasn't in. Even if it made sense, hey, we can park in the spot. She'd be like, "Nah, we're parking over there." But
No,
you got
well,
the placard, yeah, but he's not here. See,
Yeah,
the thing
no.
is a lot of people do that too. Is they'll park in the spots with the handicap placard and the handicap person isn't there.
Right. No, my mom has had friends who have been like, hey, why don't why don't we just park in the handicap space? And it's like, well, Sam's not here, so we
It'll
don't.
just
Sam's not
it'll
here,
be
it's not
so
for
easy
you,
to
bitch.
find the car. It'll be so easy to walk in, right? They always make good reasons, but it's like that's it. Unless you're on the receiving end of it, which you guys have been, obviously, and I have been by proxy.
Yeah.
You don't realize how big of a dickheaded thing it is to do. And maybe that's why people don't realize that's why the fine is so big.
Yeah.
The
Facts.
fine here is huge.
The fine here is
Same here.
huge too, but also Max, you'll love this. The our city passed like not a law, but like basically an ordinance where basically all those fines that were like collected for violations were used to build a ramp to make the beach more accessible for people on
Nice.
wheelchairs
That's cool.
to get on.
Yeah,
So yeah, our city has done some like really based things with that.
We had to I mentioned I mentioned to my friend older gentleman in the past, John, with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
I just and I played chess with him. I mentioned that's like where I started talking to him. We were in the chess club with my father-in-law. I was just gifted his chessboard, which I thought was really cool.
That's
And-
nice.
It was relevant because him and my pops, they called themselves the Wheelchair Cowboys until we found out there was a real group already called that asked us to stop. They made me make them a Facebook page because they're boomers, and they would advocate for like wheelchair stuff in the city, and they had some success. There were some people in town hall that didn't like them very much, and the one restaurant owner kind of went to war with them about signs on the sidewalk. But other than that, like they got there's this cool park now where there's like a bike path and an actual wheelchair path next to it through the whole park, so you can walk along the river.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like our community's become a lot more mindful because there was a whole bunch of the guys in the wheelchair. It was a shame we had to change the name, and they said that because they all would wear cowboy hats and American flags and stuff, and so they wanted to be the Wheelchair
Nice.
Cowboys. And when I put up the Facebook page, the real
just-
Wheelchair Cowboys of America were like, "Hey, you can't do that." Didn't know it was a thing.
Damn.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, up here in New York, the placard fine is $150 plus a mandatory 30 surcharge.
Yeah, and if you do it a couple times, they'll make you go to traffic school.
Right. That's just the first offense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucked to do it. If you're not handicapped and you've never dealt with this before, just be mindful going forward. But like, bro, sometimes a guy in a wheelchair and look, Sam, Mort, my father-in-law, we're all pretty capable wheelchair guys, right? Some of them aren't, okay? And man, what if that guy in a wheelchair who's not so capable needs to fucking use the restroom and you're in there trying to buy a fucking burrito at you know what I mean? Just
The ones that really
I've seen people do it at the hospital, Sam.
Oh, I know. There'll be.
That's especially egregious.
Well, there are people I know who will use. There are guys I know who will use the stalls.
A lot of
So,
people
like-
will use the stalls. I think that's way less egregious than parking in the spot.
Yeah,
But
but
if somebody in a wheelchair comes in, you finish your ass up real quick, all right?
yeah, and
Don't make them wait. That's the only thing. If you make the person in the wheelchair wait, then you deserve to be shamed publicly.
which that's the thing is like.
If you got to
It's-
finish
yeah,
up
like-
more business, looks like you're now buddies with the wheelchair guy because you're moving in the stall next.
Yeah.
But sometimes,
Um,
Sam, sometimes it's nice to have all that leg room, and nobody uses it 90% of the time.
Well, let me just put it this way. There are some things that should be done like at home and not in a restaurant or public place. Like number 1 or number 2 should not take 10 minutes.
Have you
That's
heard
all
the stories we've been telling about my father-in-law, Sam? We go to the goddamn restaurant. Hold on. We'd
if
go to
you're
the
act-
goddamn restaurant. We'd sit down. They'd come out, ask for drinks. He'd order a drink. He'd go in the bathroom. Then he would order food from his phone from the bathroom. And then he would come out just in time for us to eat the food. Then he'd go back in the bathroom. And we'd just be waiting there. And we'd already pay the bill. We're all ready to go, just waiting on him. So he couldn't really help that.
Okay, well, like I said,
He
if you're
did that at
disabled, then-
home, but he also did that in public.
Well, like I said, if you're disabled, that's fine. I'm talking like fully
I don't think
able-bodied.
it had anything to do with his disability, though. I just think he was a mean pooper. He broke his back, Sam. I don't think that had anything to do with the fact that he was a mean pooper.
Yeah,
Just made it meaner.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it did.
I think that's a little ableist of you, Sam, to assume.
Well,
Like, the disabled guy is gonna poop real big and loud and stinky because of his disability, when it might in fact just be that he's a guy that poops real big. He's a big dude.
It gives
loud and
us
stinky.
to do that, Sam.
I'm
Yeah.
not even talking like guys who are pooping or peeing. I'm talking like guys who are doing other things in the.
You
in the
said number one and
bathroom.
number two. I mean, look, if you taking a piss and it takes 10 minutes, then yeah, you're either a woman or you're up to no good. Or you're in line. That's the one where you got to wait for a urinal. And of course, there's open urinals, but you're not going to go to the open urinal. You're going to wait in line because the open urinal is between two dudes. Or is
You
that
know
just
what?
me?
You know what though? Like I will be
I don't
honest.
care how bad I have to pee. I'm not going to the urinal between two dudes to do it.
Me either. However, I will say that like there are times where I wish it were easier for me to stand, because like man, sometimes it would be easier for me to use the urinal than
True. But you do get to bypass completely the urinal shuffle.
That is true.
Like, cause there's like a system to it, right? It's like you always want at least one, unless it has dividers. You know, the little divider ones. Those are all right. But if they're just open against the wall, the dude next to you is potentially going to look at your dick. And you don't want that. So you don't want to be next to anybody. Now, sometimes you get such where you can only get one buffer of space, and that's enough. But I prefer 2 to 3. If possible.
Yeah, no. Two is usually my rule.
Yeah.
So.
And I like an end one, so there's only one side. So that because there's that guy that will creep up and stand right next to you at a urinal and be like, "How's it going?"
Yeah, no, it's especially
that's how it's going. You fucking weirdo.
Surprisingly, I'm not that guy.
Especially here in Florida.
Yeah.
Here in Florida, you want to make sure that you're like 2 or 3.
That guy in Florida will be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And just start jerking you off. He's on meth, you see.
I didn't tap my foot, Sam or Max.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. That's why some dudes use the handicap urinal too, right? Is they wanna yank one out. They don't actually have to go to the bathroom, but they're doing the thing that they should be doing at home, or in their dorm room.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, but if I'm
look,
but if
that's
I'm
for the jizz mopper.
Almond Joy's got nuts.
But if I'm sitting outside like honking my my wheelchair horn, which is a high pitched beep, like I'm like, hurry it up! I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing in there.
Yeah, it makes it really hard to finish, doesn't it? You're an asshole, Sam. You're so inconsiderate.
Well, I'm sorry.
It take longer. You want to get there. What you got to do? What you got to do is you got to talk dirty to him.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Be like, yeah, you get it, Sam. You just start cheering for him. Woo! Yeah, come on, let's go.
You can do it.
That'll stop him real quick.
You can do it all night long.
That also works if they're pooping, except like sometimes they can't help it. What I'm saying is I'm an asshole, Sam.
Yeah, no, I will make them sometimes they'll hurry it up just because they'll see like my wheelchair tire is like, parked outside, and so they're like, oh shoot, the actual crippled guy is here. I better hurry it up.
You're going to New York.
I am.
I know he's gonna sign a big Hollywood TV deal for one of his old books that he hasn't promoted yet. Which one is it, Sam?
Well,
I know you've been in secret talks with big wigs.
Well, Night of the Vigilante may be getting a TV deal with HBO.
You're bad at this. You gotta be way less specific.
Just don't cast Pedro Pascal.
Oh no, it has to be Pedro Pascal. Obviously, we knew as soon as we saw his.
Well, I mean, he did play in Narcos, but no, I mean,
Sam's gonna play his main character of.
Craig already casted Brandon Herrera as Jason Miller.
Well,
So
we could have you, and then like in scenes that show you full body, we have like a stunt double who's like mega buff.
well, I'm the president of the United States in my own show because
Of course you are.
Well, because the president is in a wheelchair, so you know. But like, they
Why
couldn't,
wouldn't
and
he?
they couldn't.
He's also, guys, the president. Oh my God, what the fuck's his name? Is it? Just reading a passage back from fucking Fourth Estate, and the way you describe him is basically like godlike, almost like he's perfect, and he's so poised, and he's like the awesomest president ever. Of course,
Yeah,
your
Ethan Mitchell.
self-insert for the audience is just smash the fourth wall. Sam's self-insert was never any of the protagonists. It's the fucking president. Read how much he loves the president. It starts to get into fanfic territory. He's glowing about his president character.
Of course,
I'm Professor X.
Well, I actually do have.
I highlighted the passage. I'll have to read it at some point. I don't have it in front of me, but I highlighted a passage that sounded like I was like, oh, this is Sam's self-insert because that's why he's sucking his own dick so hard.
Did you catch Shmuley's character cameo?
Of course. But I just loved that when the realization hit me of how much you loved the president. I was like, aha, because he loves himself in a wheelchair as the president with poise and grace and wisdom and dignity and a sense of humor.
And he's a tech guy,
he's a great negotiator, and he's good looking, and he's like super young, and he's in a wheelchair, still athletic and muscular. It's great. Yeah. Sam really, really put a lot of work into this president character. He's so great.
Hey, I could have been describing Morpheus too.
The reason I forget his name is because I wanted to call him President Whitfield every time, ever since I fucking thought about it.
Hey, you know, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that. Although, you know,
what's the president's name, Sam? You know the one. You know what I mean.
President Ethan Mitchell.
I was gonna say Miller, but that was like, no, Miller is the fucking the cowboy dude. No.
Yeah.
Mitchell, that's what it was. And I always keep thinking he's President fucking Whitfield is who he is. No, it's good. It's good writing. It's just when I thought of that, it made me laugh very much, and I figured it'd bust your balls.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're going up to talk to some big publishers and some big movie media companies, and then I set it up like that, and he's like, specifically, I'm gonna get a deal with this. It's like, no. That's not this. I set it up so you just generalize, Sam.
Yeah, why?
Sam's like, no, I'm going to blatantly lie because it's funnier because it makes you say, wait, no, hold on.
Well, you know, if any of my books were to get, you know what's even funnier is
I just don't want you to say one because you're locking yourself out of fucking options.
Well, you know what's funny is one of my neighbors was like, you should propose one of your books to be made into a Broadway play, like musical, which would be hilarious, right? Like,
oh my God, I would love to score that. First of all, it would be Night of the Vigilante. Second of all, the musical theme for the production would be horrorcore.
Yes.
Yeah. That way he'd be rapping about blasting people while he's blasting cartel members.
Yeah.
And the cartel members are rapping about chopping people up and stuff because that's what they do.
Of course.
It's beautiful. It's perfect. It'll either be horrorcore, hip hop, or black metal for like the emotional scenes.
Also, I do want to real quick, just to be serious.
I volunteered to direct it.
I do want to let people know that that my mom and I are going to be avoiding the subways, not just because there are sketchy people down there, but I mean that is one of the reasons. But
You mean the
also,
mole people? Look, the mole people are cool as hell, Sam. What you got to watch out for is TWR.
well, look, what you might not know. Well, Morpheus would know. Morpheus would know this better than I would. But the elevators in the subway are never in service.
Never.
That's right.
When we're there. When we're there. I've been this will be my 10th time. Actually no, 11th time in New York. And the elevators in the subway never work.
I'd say if you're gonna be that close, you should come visit me. But my house isn't handicapped accessible,
Well,
like at all.
we're gonna be in Manhattan, and I think Manhattan is a bit far from.
It's a couple hours. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just trying to make a joke about how you
and-
couldn't get in my house because there's a lot of stairs.
Yeah.
Not a lot. Not a lot, but a good set of the concrete steps, with big, thick railings.
Well, no, that
Ain't no ramp to get into my house.
That would be the funny thing if I tried to come and visit. You would just be like, well, good luck getting up the stairs.
You'd have to like somehow finagle yourself up the railing, and then somehow bring the chair. Although if you brought like a light chair, you just lift it up. So I guess it's not that bad. But it's definitely not accessible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like 6 big concrete steps.
And then you've got me, who's about 5 hours away from Manhattan, in the middle of the forest in New York.
Yeah, and his house is probably even less handicapped accessible than mine, because what would a robot need a ramp for?
Exactly.
I
Well,
just have this pulley system.
Yeah. Well, more, I just picture you as like some like, since you're into fantasy, you're like some you're like some wizard living out, in New York.
No, because you gotta be a virgin until you're 40 to be a wizard, Sam.
And I am definitely not no fucking virgin, Sam. I'm just up here in upstate New York, watching out for the Sasquatches and Dogmen.
Well, I mean, look,
The Pudgy Wudgies. Did you hear about the Pudgy Wudgies on the Savage Figures, Sam?
We don't have those up
I
here,
did.
Max.
Well, more, you're not. I hate to break it to you, buddy. You're not a witcher.
How do you know?
Right, I'm not. I said I look out for the cryptids. I didn't say I fight the cryptids. Big difference.
That's true.
I am just the lookout, sir.
Well, you are.
The cryptids are coming. The cryptids are coming to arms.
Well, you are a vampire.
Facts.
Because you stay up until, God knows what hour. Of course, so am I.
Oh, but you're not going to be there for bits and bones, are you? We should talk about some gaming shit since we're not have anything to talk about.
Yeah.
Or we could talk about the genius of Kanye's song. I think the interesting thing is he uses the tritone to introduce the Hail Hitler part.
That was fantastic. I love the tritone.
And then back up, you see. Now, if you're a music theory nerd, what that means when they do that, they go down triad and up triad like that. It's called the devil's tritone, Sam. It's a musical device from classical music that means I'm fucking with you.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Nigga, Hail Hitler."
Well, you want to know the other thing that's funny too is in the video, the guys aren't even wearing
No, they're
Nazi.
wearing Roman legionnaires outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just looking really intense.
I feel like if Kanye actually like were unironically serious, like he would like have them dressed up as like, you know, black Nazis.
If he was serious, well, first of all, that's been done. Have I ever mentioned you know I've always shouted out my boy, the OG of horrorcore or the wicked shit or whatever you want to call it, Esham, right?
Yeah.
Esham has a character that he does on a couple of albums, one of which being Supervillains, which includes ICP and a couple other people, where they're each a character based on a suit of cards, right? So there's Mr. Spade, Mr. Heart, Mr. Club, and Mr. Diamond. Mr. Diamond is Violent J. He's all about money. Mr. Hart is Lavelle, a rapper you probably never heard of, and he's all about like love as a superpower, right? Shaggy Two Dope is Mr. Club, and he's all about clubbing shit. He's just a thug superhero. And the last one is Mr. Spade, Esham. Esham is the Black Hitler. His superpower is he wants to exterminate everybody, including his own people, because fuck everybody. I'm the superior race, just me.
That's
Mr. Spade.
kind of based.
Yeah, and the songs are pretty like geared towards that. And he called himself, and then he changed it. Like he did that on his podcast, the uncensored version, which I remember. I shout out one of my favorite podcasts from way before anyone was doing podcasts. But Esham is the bomb ass podcast. I still go back and listen to that every couple of years, the whole set. But then it was on the official record. He changed it to the Black Militant instead of the Black Hitler. But the premise was the same. He was a black nationalist that ultimately wanted to exterminate all people. And that was his superpowers were like related to that. And so like this thing Kanye's doing, he's not even the first rapper, not even the first black rapper to do anything like this. And it's notable that Esham thinks it's very funny as well.
Yeah.
So there you go. Esham's, like I say, an OG. Esham ain't no fucking Nazi, I'll tell you that. So make of that what you will. He's also certainly not some... Yeah. I should try to get him on the show, honestly. I've known him so long. Oh, man. Dude. Like, I want to fucking tear up, but like, R.I.P. to Sabu, personal friend of mine, and like,
R.I.P. Sabu,
awesome person.
Yeah, that actually, that was a bummer to hear that.
Dude, I had the pleasure of hanging out with Terry on so many occasions. He was ICP's bodyguard for a while, like their security.
That's cool.
And so, like, I met him and Rob Van Dam are like the only wrestlers like I would say I've ever met, right? And here's the thing, Sam, is Sabu is one of the most famous people who would know exactly who I am by name, right?
That's super cool.
There's a lot, well, you know, but then it's like you wake up one day and you're like, I just seen the thing he had his last match and I sent him a fucking, yo, congrats, you had a great career, man, you know, love you and all that. And like, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Wild. No cause of death, as far as I understand, has been revealed, and I don't want to delve into that because, like I said, it was a friend. Absolutely. I don't know anything anybody else know. Like I just know what's available is that he's passed, and it's very sad. I will tell you a couple things about Terry Brunk or Sabu, the man, the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying man they called Sabu. He loved his daughter like the world. He survived cancer twice. He broke his neck twice. He cut himself, his bicep famously in a match, like completely with Terry Funk, and almost died from blood loss, and then taped it up with medical tape and finished the fucking match. Saying he broke his jaw with the Sandman in a ladder match, taped that shit up. The man was, bar none, the toughest wrestler that's ever fucking wrestled. And one of the best fucking people, like, treated me like family, you know, from day one. And a lot of people didn't really hear him talk because, like, he didn't talk in public. And that's because he had a lot of, like, that was how he got over his social anxiety, if you know what I mean. It's not even like,
Right.
people thought, like, oh, he doesn't talk because he's not a good promo, right? He doesn't talk because he had super social anxiety about large crowds and talking in front of them. So his character was just mute. And look, it worked because he never cut a promo in his entire career. You know that?
Yeah. No, I actually do remember that.
Nowadays you can watch, he did a bunch of shoot interviews. He as he got older, he did open up and talk a bit, but he still didn't even like that. But what he did like to talk about was his family, was his loved ones. Rob Van Dam, who was his absolute best friend for life, no doubt about it.
Rob was the homie to him.
He liked to talk about fucking weird shit. We watch he liked to watch fucking just comedy videos and shit on his phone. He'd show me all kinds of like funny memes and shit. Just an absolute like genuine real motherfucker. Smoke mad weed. He'd sometimes do the Sabu pose with the fucking blunt.
I actually, speaking of, I know we covered this a little bit on the show, but I actually did watch Pod Awful's tribute episode to Underscore Merch, and I honestly got a little choked up reading, not so much about like, I mean the videos were funny, but like I knew nothing of Underscore Merch, like who he was as an actual person, but like reading the
I talked
comments
to him a
on
little bit,
his
so I had an idea. But yeah, it's wild because seeing the comments and stuff about who he was too. Another big loss this week of a friend of the show, literally.
Yeah. Well,
Or
no, like
last week, but it's still fresh. Sabu just hit me like a ton of bricks, Sam. That was like, it's been a while since I hung out with him, but I've messaged him for years still. And God, like, just to think he's gone, it like really, I'm going to miss him a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Just having him as an ear sometimes got me through some tough shit, man. Because, hey, man, if he can beat cancer and break his neck and all this fucking shit and still be the man they call Sabu, then what am I fucking crying about, you know? Absolute legend of a man, and he will be missed dearly.
Yeah. Yeah, so shout out to Sabu. But no, I mean I did talk to like Underscore Merch a little bit. Like I didn't know his actual name, but like I knew a bit about him. But like yeah, reading Jesse showed some of the comments like on his personal Facebook page, and like man, like the guy was actually like handsome and like, you know,
and a great guy by all accounts.
Yeah.
Right. Which it's like, not just, he's one of those guys too, like not just the internet people that like we're like, yeah, Underscore Merch is he's so funny, he's cool. The people that knew him in real life are like, my God, he'd give you the shirt off his back. He was a awesome brother, amazing uncle, wonderful son who took care of his dying mother until her dying day. Yeah, and so like you think about all that, and Mersh can't even get through his head the fact that, hey, this guy that was actually a really good person, your misery brought him joy. Brought a bunch of us joy too, because I enjoyed Underscore Merch's clips. Like Jesse even pointed out, like everybody says the same thing. I'm gonna say it too, though. The music, it's not just that he had very basic rock, like rock radio tastes, but it's the music combined with whatever Mersh is on about always is so perfect. If Mersh is crying, it would be like Linkin Park. You know what I mean?
Right.
If Mersh is mad, it's fucking Slayer. If if Mersh thinks he's cool and he's talking shit, it's Guns N' Roses. Like underscore Mersh just nailed it with the music choices. I know Jesse didn't like it because he had to fucking deal with the copyrights if he played
Right.
them. But everybody knows that like the music choice with the vibe of whatever Mersh is on about is just it's magic.
No, what I would
No,
what
he
I
was
would
a master meme smith.
what I even find funny is that like Mersh outright admits at 1.2 that like he didn't quite say that he was broken up about the guy's death, but he was like, but Mersh at one point is like, man, after talking to that guy's brother, like I actually like stopped and I had to think about like, man, this was like someone's, this was someone's brother. And he's explaining it like in a very Mersh way, so it's not like really like well thought out, but like still,
like he explains it in a way like a sociopath explaining flirting with empathy.
yeah, it is.
Like,
It
oh
is like
god,
a-
there's that thing there, that's pang of fucking, what is it, guilt? I don't like that at all. I'm gonna not have that anymore. But
it is kind of fun. It is kind of funny that like out of all that like
what's a
out of
conscience, Sam?
that like it is kind of funny though that like out
I
of
was
all
nice to him, and now he's dead. Oh no, underscore Mersh would appreciate
guy.
that one. Underscore Mersh made the fucking "I was nice to you" clip.
Yeah, yeah. No, he did. No, what's funny to me though is like out of all the people who have died like in Mersh's life in the past few years, underscore Mersh was the one who made Mersh like get somewhat like
Oh, to be honest, he was a little broken about his sister.
yeah, I mean, I I did see
But
some
it's
of
his
that clip of
sister. This was a guy that made fun of him on the internet. The fact that they're even in contention.
yeah, no,
Wild.
that is kind of my point. The fact that like Mersh was a little contemplative about like his quote unquote mortal enemy's death is still like I don't know, kind of funny to me.
See, I'm tripping
But
because my immortal friend Sabu is no longer with us. Like that legitimately, like I always looked at like you like as a wrestling fan, I can imagine people looking at Sabu and thinking, "Oh my god, like the crazy shit you all had to have seen him do at least one crazy fucking spot at some point on a YouTube video, right?"
Yep.
yeah,
And then as knowing him as a man, again, he beat cancer twice. Throat cancer in the second the second time it was just a recurrence of the throat cancer. And so I mean it's not like I'm not shocked he wasn't in like perfect health, but again, he did a barbed wire death match with Joey Janela 2 weeks ago as his retirement match. So it's not like he was in the worst health either.
wow. So he like I hate to
Wrestled
say this,
till his
but like
very last, and when he did, he wrestled in a fucking barbed wire death match because that's Sabu.
I mean
Very Sabu of himself.
I mean, I hate to say this because it sounds like so cliche, but like Sabu really went out on top then.
Well, I'll tell you this, it's sad because of his style, because he didn't do promos. He wasn't exactly going to be The Rock or John Cena or that level of stardom. And he knew that
Right.
all along. It's unfortunate that he didn't get that kind of level of notoriety, but it seems with his passing that the wrestling world is much more hurt by it than I actually expected that they would be, to be honest with you. Like I I felt like they'd forgotten him, and it seemed like even WWE took the time on Raw to do like a little tribute to him, which I thought was cool. He
Yeah,
never
I
actually
saw
really
that.
he wrestled WWE maybe like 30 matches in his whole career. You know.
That was still cool of
Yeah,
them
something
though
like
to do that tribute though.
Well,
So
and
well,
and
Then,
the
then
reason for that though,
tonight, Karrion Cross did the pose.
yeah, exactly. Everybody in the business who ever dealt with him, every fan that's ever met him, and every person that had the pleasure to talk to him one-on-one for a while, and will tell you the same thing, is that he really loved wrestling. He really loved the business. He loved his family, and but he could talk your ear off about psychology and like how he works his matches, and he'd tell you his tricks if you asked, little things he did. But just everybody he touched loved him to death. So it's not surprising that because Vince McMahon was the only one that didn't like him. Let's be real. Vince
that's
didn't like
not
him. He was too violent. He was too over the line. Him and New Jack, and New Jack also another guy I got to meet. It's funny because like the three wrestlers I've got to like meet and hang out with and know real well are probably three of the most controversial because of Sabu, RVD, and New Jack. But them's the breaks, you know. They're all
yeah.
dude. New Jack was really shit. New Jack was fucking crazy. I say that with all due respect, but New Jack would start fights with me. Like he'd start, dude. Oh, sorry.
Well,
Sam.
I don't know if you saw the replay from Saturday, but I replayed an old interview I did with Christian Blatt, who was the producer for Dennis Miller's old radio show, who also Christian, both of them also knew Norm, and they knew Norm
Norm's one of
Macdonald.
those people too, right? Where everybody that knew him unanimously was just devastated that he was gone.
Right.
That's the
Well-
effect Sabu has on people. Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, but it's like that was kind of like one of the first instances where there's Norm the comedian who, that was like a devastating loss, but then there's also like this is Norm Macdonald, my friend, who like I knew, in Dennis's case, like he knew Norm for like 30, he knew Norm for 40 years since the beginning of Norm's like comedy career,
Well,
basically.
I've definitely been friends with fucking Terry fucking God 15, 20 years. So I mean, look, he's just a cool person. Like, and anybody like it's one of those things. Anybody that's ever met him will tell you he'll sit there and talk your ear off. Depending.
Yeah.
Depending if he's in character, he doesn't talk. And he will stand by that sometimes if he's like if he's amongst company he doesn't like, he immediately turns back into a mute. Sometimes that was just to fuck with you. Sometimes it's frustrating. You be in the mid conversation and he's the Sabu again.
Yeah, I'm sure that could be frustrating. if you're
Sabu's not only mute, but he doesn't understand you.
right.
And he would do it just to fuck with you. Yeah, he's a fun guy. He was very funny. Sorry I'm going on, but it's
No, it's your friend.
Oh, brother, feel free.
That's the thing though, right? It's
I
like you
lost
and I
too
both,
many at this point, Sam. Jeez.
well, that's the thing, right? Is like you and I both know some famous people. I use the word famous and air quotes somewhat, but it's like, yeah, you might think that this person is like famous, but like that person is just
Well, yeah, you meet him in a different context, and
that person's my friend.
yeah.
So
I'd be back. Actually, Sabu, like, fun fact, Sam, Sabu was the one that used to get me to hang out backstage with like ICP and them. He's the one that started bringing me back way back in the fucking like the late 90s. So
That's cool.
That's awesome.
yeah, well, because Sabu, Rob Van Dam, and Violent J have been friends since they were fucking early on in their careers. I don't want to say kids, but they were just starting, all three of them, as independent wrestlers.
Right. So like
their first match, all three of them, their first match was on the same show. Violent J of ICP, Rob Van Dam, and Sabu, their first official professional wrestling match was on the same show. That's how they met each other in Michigan.
yeah, so they weren't kids, but yeah, they were
Like
young
18, 19, yeah, shit like
yeah,
that.
so they still were, kids, I guess.
Well, because Sabu, his uncle, was the Sheik, not the Iron
Right.
Sheik, the original.
Right. Yeah, the original. Yeah. So
who was very funny because he also never broke character, but in a different way. The Sheik didn't speak Arabic, but he would speak fake Arabic in public for like 40 years.
yeah.
When he got burned or when something happened, when he get injured in a match, he would go out in public because he was the promoter in Detroit. So all the wrestling fans lived in the same city. They'd see him around. So if he once got burned by a fireball and he wore a fucking bandage over his face for a whole week. And when he'd go to restaurants and shit, he'd be like, and they'd be like, what did he say? Oh, he wants the number 3 with a fucking extra side of fries. But he was always just talking gibberish. He didn't know any Arabic at all because he was not
Right, yeah.
And so, like, the funny part, like, why this is relevant is that was Terry's deal. Is he's like, I can't do that, right? So what should my Arabian character do? And what they settled on was he wasn't a great talker anyway. He clearly, looking the way he looked and acted the way he acted, could not be an American basically like a plumber guy from fucking Detroit, because that's what he was. If you ever hear him talk, he doesn't have no Arabian accent. That's exactly why they didn't let him talk, because duh. It worked for the Sheik in the 60s and 70s when nobody knew he wasn't speaking fucking Arabic. It wouldn't have worked in the 90s. You see?
Yeah.
So that's why he's a mute. And originally Rob would do the talking for them on like the indies early on as a tag team, and he would do the talking, and Sabu would just point and wear and look foreign. At certain points you make him a heel and he's just believable as like, okay, he's kind of an Arabic asshole. Other times you make him the crazy guy, which, like, the crazy guy gimmick in ECW is where he really struck big, where the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal, death-defying man they call Sabu. It's because he's crazy. Like, bro, I ain't gonna say he ain't fucking nuts for some of the shit I've seen that man do. And that's why I started talking to him the first time we started hanging out. I was like, bro, that match with Terry Funk in the fucking barbed wire, I was like, you're crazy for that. Because they both almost died. It's hard to watch. It's Barely Legal 97 ECW, Terry Funk, Sabu for the World Championship, which Sabu, that is his only World Championship, by the way. His only win was in that barbed wire match with Terry Funk. Terry Funk versus Terry Brunk. They had to cut them apart because they were stuck together because they used real fucking barbed wire. He cut his bicep from like here down all the way to like here. And like, if you looked at him, you could still see the scar of it on his bicep. It went down here is huge. And then it swelled out to like a big knot. And then it went and tightened back up again and ran all the way down his arm. He got that in that fucking match. He showed me that shit fucking. He said 250 some odd stitches just on his arm. And then, but he taped it with medical tape in the match, in the ring, on camera, in the match, and just kept wrestling in barbed wire. And both him and Terry Funk almost died of fucking blood loss. That's his world championship win. I'm pretty sure that's a unique one in wrestling history. Now that they count the ECW championship, by the way, as a world championship in WWE canon, then we can safely say that Sabu was a world champion.
Indeed.
ECW, but what does that matter? There's a couple guys you could say that about. Tommy Dreamer, Raven. I don't think Raven ever won a world title in WCW or WWE, only in ECW.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Which is a
anyway.
shame because Scott is also a really dope guy. There's another one that I like. That's like the crew, bro. It's like, oh my God, Scott's probably fucking devastated. Rob's like,
Yeah.
it ain't the same without Sabu, man. Shout out. Sorry. What else we got, Sam?
Well, we do have some gaming news.
They make video games now. Doom's out if you bought it in early access now. I know that Core is playing it right now.
Yeah, well, I did see something in the Sweet Baby Inc. group that Batman posted. Apparently the creators of the Rocky like Crime Boss game.
Yeah, they canceled that VTuber broad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called her a Nazi, more or less, for like being a basic bitch right winger. A very basic bitch right winger, might I add.
Well, that's
like all them VTubers who any
To the point
opinions they do
she
have.
wouldn't even register on most people's radar.
Yeah, they're like super safe VTubers. It's just she happens to be one that was like somewhat open about being on the right. Barely.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, don't buy Crime Boss Rocky City. They're fucking bitches.
Well, I mean, I already did like a long
pieces of shit.
I did a long time ago, but I won't be reinstalling that on my PlayStation anytime.
Check out Schedule 1 though. Schedule 1 is based as fuck.
Yeah.
There's effects for the drugs. Schedule 1 is a drug dealing simulator, but it's cartoony as fuck. And you can add effects to the drugs, Sam, by adding different ingredients to them. And they can be like simple things like they convulse or that like they blow up. But then some of them are like they get electrified. And one of them, it's called generism. So you get this weed, you smoke it, and it turns you trans. Another one is called tropic thunderism. What do you think that does?
Turns you black.
Or if you are black, it turns you white.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. Because they tried to cancel that game, and it absolutely crushed Assassin's Creed Shadows. And it's made by one dude. His name is Terrence.
I know.
He's pretty cool. I was talking to him on Messenger or on Twitter messages for a while because I try to talk to all these indie devs. I don't know if you noticed, I share a lot of indie dev work and shit on Twitter because that's most of what I play.
I have noticed, and I mean, listen, I'd be willing to talk to any indie devs if they want to come on to the show.
Well, I think he's too big for that now, but he didn't think his shit was going to blow up.
Anytime any dev wants to come on Bits and Bones, more than welcome.
Yeah, well, I would definitely reach out to some of the people I retweet sometimes, guys. Like specifically Running with Scissors would probably talk to you. I don't know how big. I'm the postal guy around here.
Whenever I actually see you on my timeline, I try to.
But there, yeah, I try to like the guy that does. Oh my God, Solash 2. He'd probably chat. That game's dope. I just beat another one made by one guy, Sam. Where it's like it came out in early access, so I beat what's there, and it's quite a bit. It's called Conquest Dark. It's like $7. Sort of like Vampire Survivors meets Diablo with some cool 3D graphics and a cool little loot system. And it's especially fun on a Steam Deck.
All games. You talk on Steam Deck so much that we ought to be sponsored by Valve at this point.
I wish, man. Let me get that. I
I
beta test
mean,
for Valve, so that would be the next step, right? Let's get that big Valve sponsorship.
oh yeah, Craig on the Thick and Tired podcast was saying that like you're on Nintendo's that like Nintendo flies you out on occasion or something, but that I'm assuming that's Valve or something. You're like on some like community
Oh, speaking of that, Nintendo updated
critiquing
and
thing.
user agreement late last week.
Me?
Yeah, he was saying that you like do some critiquing of some kind for some. He said it was for Nintendo, but I thought maybe it was like for Valve or something like that.
Yeah, no, I've beta tested for Valve. Back in the day, we worked on like when I used to work in a engineering capacity. This was many years ago. We worked on touch screens that were later used in the Nintendo DS. If that.
Oh yeah, that's he wasn't sure exactly what it was, but that's probably what he was thinking.
Yeah, I worked at a company that made LEDs and touch screens, and long before the era where either were common.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, we also worked with like Nokia and Apple and stuff like that. But it was cool. I think I told him about it because it was notable because Nintendo people, like not known people, but like engineers from Nintendo came down and showed us some cool shit. That was pretty dope. Like they were just sharing technology because they were they're trying to. Well, one of them was a 3D glasses setup, like a VR that they never ended up going with because they wanted to find the right screen for it. And we couldn't provide what they were asking for. And it seems like they didn't find it anywhere else either.
Yeah.
But the other one was they were talking about, and this was prior to it coming out, a system with 2 screens, and they needed one of them to be a touch screen. So we saw some early prototypes of the DS, but they all kind of looked just like the DS looks now anyway. And they already had a touch screen that was working. They were just like sourcing us as a supplier. So they wanted us to make screens like that, basically. So they put it in order. That was pretty cool. We did some cool stuff over there. And then they sent my job to China.
Yeah.
Still kind of sore about that one.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame you.
Do not trust China. China's asshole.
But they can't source this job to China because as part of the Rumble Creator Program, I would be kicked out of China on account of because I say bad things about the CCP all the time.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Moore and I would just be put to death in China for being
Taiwan is a country, goddammit.
Crippled.
No, they wouldn't put you to death just for being crippled. You're not a citizen.
That's Canada.
I'm sorry. China would harvest our organs. So.
That's right. And then set you back out on your way.
Yeah.
With some pork fried rice. And it's delicious pork fried rice, Sam. When they take your kidney, they make sure to give you the bombest pot stickers.
What if my organs are shit?
It doesn't matter. Hey, they've already given you the Chinese food. It comes with 2 of the teriyaki beef sticks on the little stick. It comes with crab rangoon. Comes with a little packet of soy sauce. I mean, yeah, it's a kidney, but that's some good Chinese food. Sourced locally, Sam.
Yeah.
Not even from China. Because, like, Chinese food sucks. Did you know this?
I've heard this.
American Chinese food is bomb, but China Chinese food is terrible.
We actually
You
had
know what sewer oil is, Sam? It's exactly what it sounds like.
oil made from the sewer. Yeah.
Well, no, the oil from the shops, they just dump it in the sewer, and then the guy comes and he scoops it up out the sewer, and then he uses it to fry up his street food.
Yeah.
Sewer oil. I gotta make something to eat after this, Sam. What else we got? You got you
We actually had American Chinese food for Mother's Day yesterday.
did you get crab rangoon?
My grandmother did. She's 90.
Taste. So she has good taste.
Yep. And yeah. Also, Craig was talking how, like, I guess Nintendo has been going like super hard on emulators for the
Well,
past.
Mort was trying to point out it's not just emulators. They're saying they'll brick your console if you tamper with it in
They'll
any way.
literally brick your Switch 2 now.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Which
No, I mean,
Right.
like, if you try to mod it, if you try to do
No,
anything to it, they're gonna brick it, which has not been a thing for any game console ever.
no, that's what I mean. I'm kind of like, that makes me like not want to purchase. You know.
Yeah, I want it to be explicit. It's any type of tampering, and they might even consider that, we're not sure yet, third-party peripherals.
That's retarded.
Yeah, that's well, because like
Well, the whole thing's fucking retarded, but third party peripherals is really retarded.
Yeah, I think they want to have a branding system with the third-party stuff.
Well, like I've told you I've told you we've talked about this. Like I had the original PSP back in the day, and I never modded mine because I didn't know how to until like later. But like I had friends who had like super like modded out ones, and they
I
were pretty
think
cool.
with this and the price tag, it's gonna turn a lot of families off of it.
Yeah.
Because like people are gonna be like, oh, is my kid gonna buy a third-party memory card and then I can't ever use this $500 thing again? Now, I get it. They're trying to prevent piracy. They're not going to prevent Switch 2 emulation from happening because their shit is so underpowered. They're not even going to be able to prevent it from happening on the fucking Steam Deck, which already exists. It's going to be able to run Nintendo Switch 2 games. It's just a matter of if people can code an emulator or not. And they know that, and they're mad about it. It might not run well on Steam Deck, but it'll definitely run on PC. And that's because their shit's underpowered. And it's overpriced.
The thing that Craig was talking on this past episode, and Craig, if you're listening to this later on,
they were suing the emulator makers, which is another thing they are also doing. Yes.
Well, that's
but it's all part of the same release of information, if that makes sense. They were basically, Nintendo came out. Also, they're suing the Pal World people on multiple fronts, and they're gaining patents
game mechanics.
On game mechanics. Gradually over time, they're gaining more and more patents, both in Japan and the US. Yeah, Nintendo are dickheads. I don't know how much more autistically you want to go into detail about it, but there's like 5 fronts where they're being dickheads.
Yeah, well,
Palward had to edit the animation of where you throw the the Pal ball.
Well, they actually just updated Pal World. I've been playing it while the update happened, It used to be you used the creature as a glider,
Right.
and they changed it now that the creature just makes your glider look different and last longer, but it isn't actually the creature, because apparently in some Nintendo game you used a Pokemon as a glider one time, and so they patented that.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, yeah, if like they're suing the emulator creators, Sam, they're suing the emulator creators of multiple different emulators, all right currently. So I don't know which specific one you wanted to get autistic about, but that's what I'm saying is like you go down these rabbit holes with Nintendo. It's like they're suing the people that made the GameCube emulator, claiming that it's written with stolen code from the source file of Nintendo, which they maybe have a claim to. Then they're going after the different GameCube, and this has been going on for years, a different GameCube emulator that doesn't use the source code, but they're claiming that it does. That's why that one's been taking so long. That's the Dolphin emulator, Sam. They tried to get that one on Steam as well. It is on Steam through the retro, what the fuck is it called? RetroArch. But anyway, then there's the Wii U emulator company that they're going after. And that is basically because you can run the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild on a Steam Deck at a better frame rate and resolution than the Switch provides playing Breath of the Wild natively. Right? So you can get a 60 frame per second experience on the Steam Deck on Breath of the Wild at 1080p. Which the Switch does not do at all.
Right.
But they couldn't quite match that performance with the second Zelda game that just released a couple years ago. But either way, that Zelda game got
couldn't
leaked.
or wouldn't.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It doesn't matter because they got shut down by Nintendo through a lawsuit. The makers of both major Switch emulators that I was using, actually, I still use. Ryu, what was it? Yeah, Ryujinx and
Ryujinx. That's what Craig was talking about, which I couldn't
Yuzu.
remember.
Those are the two. Yuzu and Ryujinx were the two that I used. And I still have them. If people need a copy, I'll be happy to send somebody a copy. But they can't develop it anymore, or they'll get sued.
Yeah, Craig was talking. Craig was getting artistic on the last episode of Ryujinx, and I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's multiple of these rabbit holes because they did it to Yuzu already one time. Yuzu came first.
Well, I mean,
they're both just Switch emulators, and Ryujinx is based partially on the code from Yuzu. It was because Yuzu got shut down that it went like all the guys from Yuzu went to work on Ryujinx, and then Ryujinx is now shut down. But the problem for Nintendo is those emulators are still out there, easily available, easy to get, and it runs on a PC probably 99% of Switch games. On a Steam Deck, probably 65%.
Yeah. Okay, well, so let me pose a scenario for you.
No.
I understand why they wouldn't want people to be emulating the current device, because you want people to buy the new hardware and whatnot. Understandably, right? I get that.
And they don't want you emulating their older devices because they're trying to sell you an emulator on the new device.
Well, okay, so you already answered my question.
Well, because I know where you're going.
Yeah.
No, the reason they're going after the GameCube and the Wii U and everything else is because they intend to sell older games, as they have been for years, via emulation on their own devices. And so that's why they call this piracy. The problem for Nintendo is they need to, like, in my humble opinion, they need to consider the first two generations of their systems lost, and maybe the first three.
Yep.
Like, just put up a library of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and N64 games and charge a flat fee for that, I think there's some play to that. But
Yeah.
piecing it together, and it's because they don't have all the licensing for a lot of these games, but it is what it is. It's easier just to click one file, download all those games on an emulator. You can do that. The other thing though is GameCube has now become that easy too. A lot of Android phones can run GameCube emulators and even PS2. And then Sam goes, "Oh
I'm
no.
still here.
Oh
Uh,
no, he's
Rumble did it. Speaking of things that crash,
Oh yeah, we hit 2 hours exactly and you went away. That's cool."
yeah,
Super cool,
So-
Rumble.
The point being is that they do sell GameCube games, they sell Wii games, they sell Wii U games. That's why. So they want to sell the emulators, they want you to play Nintendo games on a Nintendo, and they want to charge Nintendo prices. And that's it. It's all about controlling their economy and getting you locked into it as soon as possible. And man, what an investment price of basically after tax $500. That's a lot for a shitty portable when you can get a Steam Deck. I'm telling you, you get a Steam Deck half that right now.
yeah.
There's others too. I shout out to some other shits that if you just want something portable that are almost as cool. There's the was it the RetroPie? Oh my god, I've been looking at it for years. They're basically just a little Android device, and they can run up to like GameCube. Anything up to like GameCube, Xbox original, and PS2. And then just like $150 or $200. So like there's a lot of good alternatives for handheld gaming. Obviously the Nintendo brand carries that premium kind of people like stuff like this. Same reason people like you like Apple, you know, because they think it's premium. And so they sell you a shittier product for more money. That's Nintendo as well. Apple and Nintendo.
Well, Sony's getting to be that way.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
somewhat.
Definitely. They love you to get to get the full PS5 experience. If you think about it, Sam, got to get the PS5. What's that? 600, 700?
Yeah. Well, it was 600.
Okay. Well, we'll go with 600, but I'm pretty sure they raised the price 100.
Yeah. That all I'm saying is it was 600 when I got it. But yeah, you're right. It's 700 now for the
How
Pro.
much is the PSVR 2? Because you need the console to use the VR. So how much is that?
I think like 200 the last time I checked, but like I'm not into
I wanna
VR
check
for
that.
like, you know, but yeah, 200.
Fucking 400, Sam?
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. Okay. That's direct from PlayStation. You can get $50 off if you want it used on Amazon. So 400. So okay, we're at 1,000. And then how much is the PlayStation Portal?
99 the last time I checked, but like I already emulate on my tablet, so using the remote play
200.
app.
No, it is not 99. It's 200.
Oh yeah, 199.
Okay. So $1,200 for the modern PlayStation experience, not including games.
Yeah.
That's a bit pricey. Like, I don't know. Xbox's premium experience, if you want to, look at it, is like the Series X, which is what, they was 500. They just raised their price too, because everybody did. So at 600, it's half the. See, this is what Xbox has been kind of gaining ground on PlayStation over the course of this generation. It's because they were PlayStation at the beginning. It was like, oh yeah, well, where's the games? Well, Xbox has the games and the Games Pass.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Doom coming out. I'm gonna play the shit out of it. I'll probably stream playing Doom: The Dark Ages because I love Doom.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I played Doom.
Yeah, it's been like 4 days since I played the original Doom, Sam. I'm kind of losing my mind over here.
The original Doom is my favorite, just like the 2D one. Or no, not 2D, but like, the
Yes, I meant like Doom and Doom 2, the originals. That's what I meant.
yeah.
I play those literally all the time. That's my go-to game still to this day, Sam. If I got a couple minutes to spare and I don't have long, I'm going to play Doom. The remaster that they just did is really good. I like it. It has Doom, Doom 2, and a bunch of extra campaigns. If you can't beat Doom on Ultraviolence, what are you doing with your life? You're not a gamer, that's what.
You're damn right. I'm a writer, but I do like to play Doom in between books.
A gentleman plays on Ultraviolence, Sam. And if you don't believe me, type that into Google. A gentleman plays on Ultraviolence. You think I'm making that up? You think that's a rule I made up?
I don't think I never said you made it up.
No, I just want to be clear. That's how you play Doom if you're a gentleman. Nightmare is too much because the enemies respawn. Ultraviolence is the highest difficulty without respawning enemies.
Yeah, well, let's see if yeah, see, they won't. Google won't.
Okay, now type in yay HH. Oh, sorry. Yeah, actually, you can really only find that on Twitter, it seems. Yay's video. Like, legitimately. Like, there's other people putting it up all over, but it gets taken down on most places.
This is hilarious. This is hilarious, Max. I gotta share this. Hold on, let me share my screen. I know that you were joking, but just for shits and grins, I actually decided to search this. So here's the here is literally the first thing that I saw. It looks like the results below are changing quickly, which I've never gotten that before. It's almost like they don't like.
I've only gotten something like that from Google before when it comes to Donald Trump.
Yeah, exactly. I always get that on stuff where it's like, oops, we really don't want you to be Googling that.
Oh, wow. I found it on Rumble.
Well, of course.
Man, it's funny that, like, you would think making like a low-hanging fruit bait song like that wouldn't work. But it works. This has made me rethink everything, Sam. So, you're going to be in New York for a week. Don't get human trafficked.
I don't plan.
Would they get much for the cripple?
No.
If somebody says, "Give me a cigarette," don't say I don't smoke. Just say no.
I already know that.
Yeah. Don't eat the pizza. It's fucking nasty. The New Yorkers have been trying to gaslight everybody for years that their pizza's good, Sam. But like, if you don't like cockroaches, don't eat the pizza.
I've heard that you got to go to Connecticut for good pizza.
That's right. Connecticut, New Jersey, maybe. Boston. Definitely Boston. Not New York, though.
Or
New York pizza's
come to upstate
nasty.
New York, not fucking New York City.
Don't worry, Max. I will come and visit you at some point.
Oh, that'll be tough because I'll be standing on the top of the steps like, hey, how's it going? How's the weather down there? Just fucking with you. You enjoy your trip. So you're going up there, you're going to do some family fun nights and eat some, hopefully not Italian food, because
We're celebrating this was my 30th birthday present, so we're going to be going there, and I'm going to be taking some photos, which, by the way, I'll have a slideshow.
a shoot, like a porn shoot. I kind of figured.
Well, you know,
As long as you got some hotties.
yeah. I mean, you know, I know all the good looking ladies, so. And now Max dropped out. He was so disgusted that he was just like, I'm out.
That's right.
So,
No pornography. This is terrible. What are we doing?
Gooning.
So
If you leave this up long enough, I'm gonna not be able to stop myself from starting to sing the damn song. This is a problem I had in public the whole other day because it got stuck in my head. I'm out there, I'm running, and I'm just like, do. No! Kanye. Just because your shit's catchy don't mean I'm stupid.
Yeah, like I said, folks, you should really listen to the beginning of the song. When he's not like,
no, just listen to all the worst parts and then be mad.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God! Like, man, like Max and I were talking before the show. People were like, are like lyrically illiterate, and it's like, it's hilarious.
They don't
almost
understand this shit I say on Twitter.
It's almost like it's sad, but it's also almost funny. Like how people like, why would he say something like that? It is like he's literally telling you, like, are you guys not paying attention? Clearly not.
That's the problem. They're not.
No, they got something to cancel. Yay, cancel culture. And it's like Kanye's already beyond that. I think we've proven that. He just released his new #1 single that they just won't admit is a #1 single.
Well,
it's called Hail Hitler, Sam.
He literally said,
you can't cancel this man. Sorry.
He literally said, either in this song or in one of the other singles, like, you can't cancel a man who has nothing left to lose or something like.
Yeah.
Like
you know what else he said? He said, no one man should have all that power. He was right.
Yeah, which, like, to me, that's kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, Max, but, like, call me crazy. But, like, to say anything like that does not seem very Hitlerian at all. To say that no one, man, it's almost like
he's a 21st century schizoid man. Sorry.
I did, Max, I don't know if I've told you this, but, like, I am a huge King Crimson fan, so I dig that.
And it's also, like, the hook of that song, Power.
Yeah.
That's what people didn't get about it, is he's talking about that he's a little crazy and he's debating. Like he says, I've tried in the song Power, one of the lyrics is like, I got treasures in my mind and can't open up my own vault. And yeah, I mean, it's the same stuff he's been saying his whole career. It's just now he's not giving a fuck. Did I get your
Yeah.
attention? He asked when he did that one song, and then they were like, yes, and he was like, are you sure? And then he unleashed Hail Hitler on the world, which is not only with 3 words, just 3 words, one of the most offensive songs anybody's ever heard, and yet catchy as fuck. I gotta say, I think he's a genius, Sam. He's a troubled genius.
Oh yeah.
As they usually are.
He's not.
And somebody should let him see his children. Unless we want a sequel to this song.
He's
You know
not
what? I'm fine with either way, I guess. But they won't let him see his children, so he becomes the villain.
Yeah. Everyone likes to gloss over that part.
That's literally the climactic bit of the song.
I know, and yet I'm not even
which brings in the devil tritones down and then up to say, now I'm fucking with you.
Well, I'm not even
beautiful composition, actually.
Well, I'm not even Kanye, and even I'm frustrated with the fact people don't get it. The dude misses his kids, so, and if you don't,
and his wife, it's obvious she broke his heart, but that don't mean he's like he say whatever he wants about her. She broke his fucking heart. That's clear as day. That's crippling to a man of he's only a couple of years older than me.
Unironically, if I were to
and they've been together a long time too. People laugh that he married Kim Kardashian, but they did stay together for quite some time.
No, they were together for a while.
Maybe marriage was kind of a game to her, like all the other Hollywood people, but clearly it meant something to Kanye. And when you take something so sacred from a man and then also separate him from his children, yeah, you should. Only Kanye could put this song out, but look, I mean, when you isolate a man that much and take everything from him, you can expect weird results.
Look, Joe Rogan did make the observation in one of his stand-up hours a few years ago that, out of everyone in the Kardashian family, Kanye was the most normal one, and everyone kind of laughed at it at the time, haha, but Joe wasn't wrong.
I mean, he is like I said, he ain't like gangsta, but he is from Chicago. He does come from a poor neighborhood in Chicago. That shit's not fake. It's just that he was a college kid because he was a music nerd, right? He wasn't like a street gangster, but that don't change that he comes from nothing. His mom worked 3 jobs or whatever, and to send him to the special music college or whatever. He doesn't come from money like they do, He's not in the club. And by he basically married into the club and then realized that the club doesn't have the same fucking values he does.
Well, and
that's tough, man.
Well, I've had the opportunity to meet a few famous people, but I've also
By the way, that's why he's defending Diddy too, because he's a villain. For anybody that was like, "Oh, why is Kanye defending Diddy and why is he doing the song about his cousin and all that?" It's because he's the bad guy. The same reason he's saying Hail Hitler. It's like a theme album in his mind.
Yeah, it's like he's playing the heel role now.
Yeah. Sorry to
Well,
interrupt you there.
like,
No, I'm not. I do it all the time. I'm gonna miss it. You're not gonna be here. I gotta interrupt you a little bit.
well,
You'll interrupt me tomorrow. There's Max.
It's not the
yeah.
same to interrupt you, Morpheus.
Why? Because I fight back.
No, because nobody yells at me about it.
I'll yell at you if you
Then I'll just talk over
if
you.
you want me to.
Stop me.
Shut up, Max.
Shut up, Max.
No, as I was saying, you know,
Shut up, Sam.
the thing. No, shut up. No, you shut up, sir. No, I mean the one time
I'm gonna let you finish.
the one time I bumped into not Peyton Manning in Colorado.
Boo.
I
Sorry.
just like I just waved at him and said have a nice day. Like I didn't ask
I
for
would have
like
booed him.
yeah, I know you would have probably.
Yeah, it's like, you know where I'm from, motherfucker. That
But
guy's public enemy number one around these parts.
But I just said have like an I was like, oh my god, it's Peyton Manning. Like I knew who he was, and I gave him
I did boo Alex Rodriguez when he was a Yankee in New York while we were driving down the freeway, and he was
nice.
pissed at me.
Well, see, you're an asshole. My point being though is like I feel like if someone would
Hold on,
like
he's
if
a
someone
Yankee,
were-
Sam, and never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know that. My point though, why I'm bringing that up is like I feel like if someone were like, I feel like if someone were to just like say, "Hey, Kanye, I hope you have like a good day" or something, he might be like, "Oh, thank you," or something like that, or maybe it would be crazy and
What
just
do you
like
mean by
freak
have a
out.
good day? Huh? You know something I don't know? Huh? What's going on
Right?
there?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. That's what I would do if I see. This is why I never need to be famous, because I would not be like somebody that like nobody should ever. Let me tell you something. If you're listening right now and you ever do see me out in public, you should never recognize me in public, because I will humiliate you. It's not a good idea. So I don't give a fuck.
But what if you were to say, "Oh my God, it's Max Sam, the co-host of the Whitfield Report"?
Yeah, I would. Oh, yeah, that's asking me to fuck with you. That's begging for me to fuck with you.
Yeah, see, I'm the one. I'm the one that like.
What's the Whitfield report?
Yeah, what's the Whitfield? Who's who? Who are you? What do you want? Ain't no money here. Get out of here.
Yeah, you would just like start. You would just start messing with people. I would just tell people, look, I'm on vacation. Call my manager, Craig Mansfield. So he's the one who takes care of my booking and my management.
Well, like, I'm serious though. If anybody ever recognized me, like, think about it, Sam. My best skills are that, like, I've got a big fucking mouth and I'm physically intimidating. And so, like, when I will actually like bully somebody if they did recognize. Like, I will actually make them super uncomfortable.
If anyone recognized you, that would probably set off like alarm bells in your head, right?
Nah, I just like, if you shouted me out in public, if you ever, like, anybody listening, you ever see me out in public and you're like, "Hey, Max," I'm coming over, and you're not going to appreciate it. I'm going to ruin your social gathering. I'm going to ask you uncomfortable questions. I'm going to ask you for your autograph. I'm going to take your picture.
All
I'm
of
gonna
which I'm
fucking drink
fine.
your drink right off your table.
All of which I'm fine with. By the way,
Nah, oh, I'm famous. I'm gonna act fucking famous. I'm gonna take your fucking meal. And, hey, I'm from the streets. You gotta show some respect. If you act like a little bitch, then I'm gonna walk all over you like a little bitch. And so, fanboy, hound dogging is the appropriate term. That's not something I'm a fan of. And I've learned from the best on how to deal with hound dogs. You know?
well, it's nice that you think I'm the. It's nice that you think I'm the best at dealing with
Well,
them.
I
So
actually meant Bone Thugs and Harmony, Sam, but
I know, but I had to pull a Shmuley there. So
I don't know. Twisted's pretty good at getting rid of hound dogs. What's up, fat bitch? You trying to fuck? And then leave. It's crazy. It's great. It's like that's all it takes. That would be Jamie Madrox. You have no idea how many times he used that exact line on a broad when they're trying to come up to him being hound doggish. What's up, fat bitch? You trying to fuck? Oh my god, like he's so gross. I can't believe he called me fat. Jesus Christ. It works. It works.
that's honestly the best way to deal with how with female hound dogs. Also, Mort was so offended by that he just left the call. Nah, his internet
We
probably.
lost one bitch off the bus naked one time. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Flashback to interesting times.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the time they tossed the hound dog bitch off. She was like trying to get naked so that she could get more attention, and so she put her clothes on the fucking seat. And the security guys just were like, they got asked to take her out because she was a drugged out fucking hoe, you know? And they fucking tossed her out naked. And then they threw her clothes after her. Like, get out of here, you fucking slut. Yeah. Actually, girls, there's a lesson in this. Is there any girls listening? Because I know our audience is like obviously full of females. Groupies don't actually get respect. And so you might meet that famous person, but odds are you're not going to get treated very well by a lot of people in order to do that.
True.
Mm-hmm. Like the groupies that get to fuck the main star have to fuck like 3 other guys first, usually. That's why I didn't like working on those big corporate tours with all the groupies, man. Independent tours, it's like usually just not groupie types. There's always regular ladies, but they're usually not like groupies. Every scene has its regular ladies when they tour.
Regular ladies are cool.
I don't know.
Usually.
I was always I avoid debauchery, Sam. Except for, drinking and
I
causing a
do
ruckus.
too, mostly.
I like explosives. Like fireworks and
of course you
sometimes
do.
I mean, hey, nobody ever made a firebomb when they were a kid just for shits and giggles.
Oh, we had a pyro in my Boy Scout patrol.
Yeah, his name was Sam Whitfield. I could see it in your eyes, Sam. Sam's definitely a pyro. Sam will volunteer to be the guy that tends the fire and then put way too much wood in it and be like, "Oh, guys, I don't know how that happened."
Well, my uncle was a fire, marshal. So,
And you're a fire bug. I can see it. Do you light your marshmallows on fire, Sam, when you're camping?
I mean,
Be
who
truthful.
doesn't?
Me. I toast them golden brown so that they melt deliciously when you put them on a little bar of chocolate in between 2 graham crackers, Sam.
They're so good extra crispy though.
No, they're perfect if you turn them just right to get golden brown all the way out. That's how I like them, and melt all the way to the core. And then every other motherfucker, you could judge a man or a woman solely based on how they cook their marshmallow. And if somebody puts their marshmallow all the way in the fire, they're a little bit of a pyro. I'm maybe too careful.
My friend Tanner definitely was the pyro of the group, in all seriousness.
All right, and you were the sex pest.
No. We'll see. I mean, there were no sex pests in Boy Scouts because, you know.
What, you never talked to girls?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely did. But not at Boy Scout camp, though. You see,
those were the troop masters.
That's right. You got to rizz them up.
Yeah, Mort made the joke. Yeah.
Risen up the scout leaders, risen up the older scouts, get you some badges.
See the ladies.
You ever get the water snake badge, Sam?
No.
How about the ball through a tube badge?
No. What?
No.
What type of Boy Scouts are you in, Mr. Sand?
If you didn't hear the other day on the Sandwich Makers, I think it was, the fucking pedo, my wife's friend's father was a scoutmaster who went to jail for multiple convictions of being a pedophile with the kids.
Yeah.
So I guess whatever that troop was is the one I went to, Sam, even though I didn't. Actually, I did. It's just that I was older, so there was no scoutmaster, and so my stepdad decided he would do it. And then when I was out of it, that guy came in and became the scoutmaster and diddled a bunch of kids.
Oof.
It's one of the famous. It's why Boy Scouts gets a bad rap. He's one of those guys.
Well, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy then.
Yeah. Well, they tried to kill him in prison. Like,
he did a lot of that.
Yeah, he deserved it.
No, seriously. I mean, if that dude is one of the reasons why the Boy Scouts got such a bad reputation, then fuck him.
Well, he was convicted of multiple counts of raping children in his care as a scout leader. So yeah.
Although he'd probably like that. So like, I don't know.
He's banned from my state for life. So
good.
But yeah, I mean, there's sickos out there, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of your family and loved ones. We'll see you back next week, Sam. But I have a couple streams that I'll do this week. I'm gonna do my Juggalo edition, cringing over coffee, actually tomorrow. We did the premium stream, watched some fun stuff there.
Bonus on Friday without Sam.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to do the Wednesday show without Sam. So that'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not really, because Sam is like, half of the jokes require Sam's fucking reaction. I'm terrified, Sam. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be awful. Terrible show, and I am going to ruin everything.
Gonna try to get a Sam reaction out of Mort.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, I mean, Mort is crippled.
That's why I said try.
It is kind of like having. And see, Mort does know me, so he can just, he can try and
No,
like
it's not the same, Sam.
he can try and do his Sam impersonation.
I can try to do the aw shucks.
It won't really work though, because like I have the face for it,
But
and
will it
you're
be a
the
Sam impersonation, Sam, or will it be a Mersh impersonation of Sam?
it'll be neither. It'll be more
'Cause
sim.
I could do the whole show doing the Mersh impersonation of Sam, right?
That would be hilarious.
Welcome to the Whitfield Report.
I was nice to you.
I was nice to you.
No, in order to do the Mersh impersonation, it would be that, but it would also have to be you would have to vape every 5 seconds, like loudly into the microphone.
True.
So,
Yeah.
which, by the way, like people are like, people are like, oh, I had no idea that Max smokes during the show, and I'm like, yeah, because he doesn't vape. He doesn't smoke like into the mic and make
Well,
sure
no,
everyone.
I have a proper fucking microphone, you see? See, I'm right in front of it, Sam. Hold on, let me put it as much on camera as possible so you can see. You see, if you have a proper microphone, you can do this.
Yeah, I'm not.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, like the audience. So the video audience can see that, but like the audio, listeners who are
Was
listening
just
to this
dead
on
air, yeah.
podcast, yeah, that
Because
was
you
just
put up a little noise gate filter, Mersh. Especially with them fucking vapes, because them things go like drives everybody nuts.
yeah. This is like why people make fun of you, is because you have bad audio.
Bro, I got the other one here, right? That was the same thing. I was right in front of my. This one, it might be a little more of a whooshing sound, maybe even a little whistle, but that's only because the holes are small. It's like.
Even so, yeah, no, can't hear. I couldn't hear that even through like my headphones. I couldn't hear that. So
Right. And then smoking blunts, I mean, they don't even really make much noise unless we're coughing. You know, Maxine will sometimes cough on her show. That's because we're smoking weed.
yeah, but even so, that's not, like there are stoner podcasts that like have legit bad audio, and
It's not that complicated nowadays, but some people,
no.
especially
Well,
when most of the content is us talking,
even me, like I don't have like a mixer board or anything, but I do have a program that like, I have like a virtual board, and I've got everything EQ'd and basically configured to the way I want it, and my audio
at
sounds good.
minimum, you should put the noise gate up, whatever you're using, whatever. If you do that, you're 10 steps ahead of people. That's why Jim can sound okay with his shitty old microphone all these years later.
Yeah.
A basic noise filter. It's in almost every program you'll use. Obviously, mine's really good just because it's an analog, so the noise filter is more effective.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I sometimes like clip out if I yell too loud, but that's my own fault for not like normalizing my audio and then yelling.
Well, we all do that, and I mean Spotify.
I'll say this though, I could yell and get away with a lot more on my wife's microphone, so which is why we've taken to using that.
Yeah. Her mic is pretty good though, too. So people people have actually asked me what mic you use, just out of curiosity, and I
got the box somewhere. It's not the mic so much as it's that Behringer audio interface I use, the Behringer 22.
Nice.
It's like it's the cheapest thing in the world, but like if you only need, I mean, it has one mic input, analog XLR, and then it's got one XLR input for an instrument, so it was good for me for both that and guitar.
There you have it,
Sure.
folks.
But when I got the wife's microphone, it's more like one of those table mics because I figured then we could both sit there and talk. So I had multiple options.
Yeah.
So that's the answer is if you hear me right now, I'm on my I don't know, it's cheap. It like these motherfuckers will be like, you need your Shure XM7 $200 mic, and they don't
Yeah,
even
no.
sound as good as me. And that's because like it's not about the mic, it's about the audio interface and just tweaking it a little bit. It does take some time to tweak it just right.
Yeah.
Anything else to promote? I'm gonna do a bunch of streams this week. I already got a whole bunch of shit lined up. You're going to New York, then you're gonna have to escape New York like Snake Plissken. Morpheus is gonna be on the moon. It's gonna be a crazy week, Sam.
Which will be fun. I'll even have the eye patch to go with it because you know, why wouldn't I?
Oh man, you should make a fucking here's a novel idea for you. One of your characters goes undercover in Rikers to try and break down the cartel.
Well, it's funny you say that. You know.
Hello, fellow Mexican. Sorry.
I'm not saying that you spoiled a potential, you know, plot line for a future book, but it's interesting that you say that because there might be a plot line pretty similar to that. I do want to promo that once I get back from New York on Tuesday evening, probably not Tuesday night, but probably that week, I will be having a New York City slideshow from the trip with all my photos, and that will be for the Rumble Premium audience. And
I want pictures of crazy homeless guys, Sam.
Well, I mean,
if you see one and you're just like, wow, take a picture.
Yeah, well, why do you think it's going to be on the premium stream, Max? I mean,
No nudity, because some of them will have their dick out, but like, I do enjoy a good spread of crazy New Yorkers without actually having to go to New York and smell them.
Yeah,
that's the worst part. Say, you got nose plugs, right?
Unfortunately, I do. So
and butt plugs, so you don't get raped.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm gonna be sitting in a wheelchair, so like.
That's right. It's easy to just tip you out and rape you. You gotta be thinking about these things.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got
where the butt plug comes in. At least they got another step.
Well, I mean, like I've got the super safety belt like Moore has, so like they'll have to fucking pry me out, but then they'll actually pry the seat out of the
use your safety belt, Sam.
I actually do.
I'm gonna try it. All right. Well, if we're ever run into each other, I'm gonna try and catch you slipping on that. That's seatbelt check. Whoop.
So does Moore. I think
actually that's considering the context, it's a rape check, right? Like, whoop. Oh, nope. He got the belt on. Never mind.
Moore has his seat belt.
Okay, how's your Spanish though? Do you know how to say I'm a stupid gringo, please don't rob me?
No habla español.
No habla español.
No, that means I'm a stupid gringo, please rob me. Do you have a rape whistle? That might help.
I mean, I've got pepper spray.
Not in New York, you don't. What are you, retarded? You're gonna get arrested.
Yeah, that's true. No, a rape whistle would be.
You're allowed a whistle. Say, Morpheus, he thinks he's gonna walk around in New York with pepper spray.
He's not going to walk around anywhere.
Yeah, notice I said walk around.
Yeah.
No, then they'll be searching your wheelchair for
Well,
sure.
no, I'll just. Well, no, I'll just.
You're not allowed to defend yourself, Sam.
Search for Sam.
It's New York.
Here's what Moore doesn't know is as soon as I land, I'm coming to Moore's place, and I'm just gonna be like, "You're coming with me for the next few days."
Oh wow. Well, he better have his seatbelt on then.
And I'll just.
And sounds like you about to rape him.
The problem with that, Sam, is if you do that, we're going from pizza shop to pizza shop.
There you go. Yeah. Words matter, Sam. You're coming with me for a couple days. Sounds like a threat.
And I'll just be well. No, anytime someone wants to assault me, I'll just throw Morpheus at them.
So,
you know,
I feel like it's a much easier thing to just get a rape whistle.
Well, no, like people always want to use me as the cripple shield, right? So, well, now I've got a cripple shield.
No, you're the crippled ball for the crippled toss. Not a shield, Sam. I would never.
Oh yeah, I know. You want
it's not an effective shield to have a cripple guy to absorb the blows. Like, how many blows are you actually going to absorb? No, I need a fat guy for that, Sam. No offense. But they can take a lot more, absorbing.
That is true, but I've been told I've been told I can take a surprising amount of punishment for
I bet, but I just feel like, I would be more akin to try and use a fat guy as a shield.
Yeah, no. You're that is true. You're better off
more using, shield.
You're better off using Merch as a meat shield.
Yeah, or like that PPP there, right?
Okay, well, I mean,
did you see? Hey, we solved the Mama JF.
That fuck out of the room, though.
We solved the Mama JF case, Sam. Did you see this? Have you heard about this? See, JF heard from some people that told the cops that they saw Mama JF at a monastery. So the case is closed.
I was actually thinking that would be a great premise for one of Andrew Nelson's James McGuire books. Is James McGuire has to solve the Mama JF case.
I feel like a book about a JF-like character who murders his wife and is a streamer and tries to continue on with his normal life with everybody knowing he's a murderer is probably a really good thriller novel premise, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, right, no, like I'm unironically, I'm serious. That does sound like it would actually be like it. It almost sounds like a thriller novel, right?
Yeah, it's like a modern Misery in a way.
I mean, seriously,
it's wild too, because there's like video of him in like hazmat cleaning gear, cleaning up. Like, yes, I am just cleaning up since she left. Everything is fine. I just dropped her off on the side of the road. Now I heard she's at the monastery. Case closed.
Did the cops not check him out at all? Because
they have to have a file on his ass just of the things he says. They know about his dumpster. Everybody knows about his dumpster truck.
Yeah, well, maybe he is one of the protected feds.
Which is worse
Yeah.
because he's a leaf fed. That's the worst kind. They're not even a
Oh,
real country. Imagine being a fed for not even a real country, Sam.
Yeah, so he's not even our fed. He's one of the fake feds.
Yeah. A Canadian fed. That's like a, like it's like an off-brand.
Yeah, well, I mean,
never done any real cases because it's Canada. There's like 5 people there, and they're all related, and they all fuck each other. Hi, Canada fans.
no, we actually do have some Canadian fans. But the thing it is
they're too busy fucking each other and too related to be upset by that.
No, they're like, damn it, that Max guy is an asshole, but he's right.
What? That there's only a few of them and they're all ancestrally related and fuck each other?
No, that Canada does a fake country.
Oh yeah, that's true. So is the other part though.
I love how Trump is just like I love how Trump was just like, yeah, they're going to be our 51st state, and then the Carney guy,
it'll be a great deal.
The Carney guy is like, I'm going to stand up to Donald Trump, and then at the meeting, he's just like, so Mr. President, I think you're a very strong leader, and like
slurp. That's what he said. He said slurp.
Yeah.
But I actually gotta wrap this up. I gotta make some food. I was planning to do that, and then I realized it's been 3 hours.
Yeah, it has been 3 hours.
You have yourself a lot of fun. I'm gonna head out. Cringing over coffee tomorrow. Whitfield report without Whitfield Wednesday. Probably I'll do something for Thursday. Friday, bits and bones. Saturday, sandwich makers. We'll see you all then. And I have to use the restroom, so it seems like a good time for me to.
Alrighty. Well, without further ado, then, folks, I'll wrap this up. Thanks to everyone who tuned into this impromptu episode of the show. I will see all of you fine folks in another week. And until then, take care. God bless. God save the free nation. God, freedom, democracy, in that order. And all that jazz. I'll see you next week, folks. So take care.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Thank you for watching the Whitfield Report live on the Right to Offend Media Network. Make sure to check out Sam's books on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. You can follow Sam on X at SamW_NGC and the Right to Offend Media Network at RTO Media. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, God bless, God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy, in that order.